And I think it's gonna be, there we go.
You think if you clean it up, it'll be
I
better?
think it'll help. Yeah, yeah. I think it's gonna be fine. It's good, man. These aren't professional, dude. I'm not like,
Just
I don't,
talking to people.
I don't know what I'm doing. Okay. That's why
No,
I
I
pay.
checked out your Instagram. I was like, you got quite a few videos, that you put out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Definitely. Well, we started a YouTube channel almost 4 years ago. April will
Hmm.
be 4 years. So 3.5 years. And we half of our well, I put out 170 some podcasts.
Holy
Uh,
cow, that's a lot.
yeah, that's a lot over the last year. But the first 2 years of our channel were unboxings and reviews,
Hmm.
and maybe a couple of little gameplay here and there for Milsims. But yeah, it was the podcast thing came up just a year ago when the other guys on our channel, Trifecta
Hmm.
Airsoft, was made up of two of my sons and their good friend from high school. And
Okay, that's why it's try.
yeah, exactly. Because I wasn't going to be a part of the channel. I was just going to film and edit. I wanted to start the channel. They didn't want to start a channel. So
How did it
uh,
end up becoming your channel
I don't know what happened, dude. They got
along the way?
busy. They got busy. A lot of life things changed for them.
Hmm.
So one of my sons got married into having two kids. So he's got two step kids. They bought a house, 6 months ago or so, 8 months ago, and then uh, my other son that was on the channel bought a house like 4 months ago, 5 months ago, and all their work schedules changed, and there that was like, okay, we don't have time to get together. It was hard for us to get together.
Right, right. What's a editing time usually like?
For
Not in a hurry. I'm just curious, like what for
oh,
turning
for
around.
this,
Yeah, podcasts. Like
so this one
usually like to
here,
put it like a week out, 2 weeks out for like when you actually post it.
I don't like to. I'd like to do it sooner. The problem is I've done so many.
Mhm.
Um,
You got
this
like a
is
release date for each one
this
or
is a
whatever.
hopper, bro. Like,
What does that mean?
okay, so like the hopper's full is what I'm saying. It is
Oh, you have one
100%,
for every day
bro.
of posting?
Okay,
Because you
so
post one a day or something like that, right? I'm assuming
I
one
was
every other day.
I did. It is. I'm going to show this for you. So can you see that screen?
Yeah, yeah, I can see it. Oh wow,
That, that's my calendar. Okay, so
holy cow! Those are all your release dates.
these pink ones are releases.
Hmm.
Now, I was doing Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for the last like 4 months, 3 a week.
And then all of a sudden you did a bunch.
So this week, yeah, this was the week before Christmas, Christmas week, and then this is the week in between Christmas and New Year's. I did that because, well, these 2 weeks, the first week I did five because I was getting, so all these ones right here that are grayed out, the ones with a little blue dot,
Hmm.
those are scheduled podcasts that I'm recording, with people, meetings with people like me and you were doing right now.
Hmm.
So this is one, that's, so I did, one.
So here, can you scroll down to January? What is it? What's your release schedule look like?
Okay. So see, yours is right here, number
11.
182.
So, well, the reason I'm asking you,
Yeah.
which the 11th is actually probably perfect.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to announce something, but I've been waiting. So I was
Oh,
like,
shit.
I might use your podcast to announce it. It's
Fuck
like
yeah.
it's actually like a big airsoft secret.
Oh,
So
okay. Oh, I
something very
love that.
good, something very good with our business. So
Oh, awesome,
that
dude.
nobody
Yeah.
else knows yet. I'm keeping on the
Oh,
QT.
shit. I feel
So,
privileged, man. I really do.
but the reason I wanted to wait like another 2 weeks to announce it, so like
Gotcha.
11, 12 should be. I can always, yeah, not 12. Yeah, 11. 11 should be good.
Well, now the other thing too is what
I
I
don't
showed you
any.
there. These aren't, this isn't, completely set in stone. I can move some of these around if I had to. You know
No,
what I'm
I
saying?
think the 11th is good. I
Okay.
don't want to wait any longer than that anyway. So
Yeah. So yeah, these are anything that's up here on the calendar. Those are ones I've already recorded and are ready to come out.
ready to come out.
Whenever those did. But yeah, the first 2 weeks I did, I was trying to get caught up. because if I would have kept on the 3 days a week schedule,
Mhm.
this podcast tonight wouldn't come out until the middle of February.
Oh wow.
Yeah, bro.
So
And so
so
some
you
of them are people that ask me, hey, can you, I'd like to be on. And the other half are people that I text like 2, 3 weeks ago, and then they
mhm,
finally get back to me, and we set one up. So, and I don't like canceling like we did last week.
right.
I was honestly, part of that was I had so many in between. I was like, you know what? I don't like making people wait, 2.5, 3 weeks for it to come out. So,
Oh, that's why you pushed
yeah,
it forward.
right.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
No,
It's,
I think 11's good. I think, like I said, it's not like it's really bad if it comes out early. It's just I was just waiting because I
yeah.
wanted to wait.
No, that's cool, man.
So
That'll be good. That'll be perfect. Awesome. Well, welcome, my friend.
thank you.
Yeah, dude.
Good to be here.
Yeah. No shit. So you're Gabe? Is that
Yeah,
right?
Gabriel.
Okay. Do you go by Gabriel or Gabe?
I like Gabriel.
Do you?
Yeah,
I like it too, man.
I rock with it.
The fucking angel, archangel.
Right.
Okay.
That's what my parents named me after.
Yeah. No shit.
Exactly.
Were you raised Catholic?
Protestant. Yeah.
Mm,
Church twice a week for 18 years of my life. So
bro, I grew up in Northeast Ohio. So
that's
you're
where I
in,
live.
yeah, you're in
I live.
Medina, right?
So wait, where do you live?
I'm in South Carolina.
But you grew up in Northeast Ohio. What are the
Yeah.
odds of that?
Yeah. So I grew up in Cauga Falls. My
Yeah, I
wife
know
and I.
exactly. That's like 20, 25, 30 minutes from me.
Yeah. Grew up in Cauga Falls. I went in the military after high school,
Hmm.
and then moved back after I spent 4 years in the Marine Corps. After I got out, moved back home. My wife and I were already married. I had like a year and a half left, whatever, when we got married. Moved back home to be around family and stuff. Worked out there up in Twinsburg, making car parts for GM and Ford. Did that for a handful of years, and
Hmm.
then different factories all in Northeast Ohio. And then my in-laws have lived down here for like 30 years. So we were visiting down here in South Carolina for that long, for a long time. And 15 years ago, we moved down here
That's
because
crazy.
the work, was a lot better down here, and the weather. I was tired of
Yeah.
the snow.
Yeah, we got it. We got it this last week. It was rough.
That's what I heard, man. I still talk to my mom. My mom and two sisters are still up there in Ohio,
Yeah.
same area. So yeah, but yeah, then it's funny because when I talk to, I'm going to tell you who told me about you is uh, the podcast just came out today. Raptor
Yeah,
Customs.
yeah. Yep. Yeah, I know him.
Yeah.
He's been playing in my field for a while.
Right.
That's actually how I met him, was through my field, which is funny.
Yeah. You know what's funny is he was the very first one that I'm a guest on the podcast that I met in person first,
Oh,
and
really?
then had on the podcast. Yeah, we met at Iron Dagger, a mill sim put on by Third Coast Airsoft down here at
Okay.
GTI, Barnwell, South Carolina. So my son and I went to that. I went
How
as
long ago
press.
was that?
That was October.
Okay, so real recent then.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we exchanged business cards while we were there. We got to
Mhm.
talking and stuff. And he's like, "Yeah, I'm from Ohio." I said, "Holy shit!" So yeah, and we talked for a minute, and then he hit me up just a couple weeks ago, whatever, 3 weeks ago, and then we set a time, and so as we were talking on the podcast, he was talking about the field he plays at, which is yours,
Yeah.
and he was explaining about the field. He's like, because he said it was an indoor field, and I said, "Oh, okay, well, it's like because most indoor fields are small, like
Mhm.
pretty small." And
Yeah.
I said, "What do they do, like speed QB or speed soft stuff, whatever?" And he's like, "Not really. It's not like as far as they do CQB, but because it's indoor or whatever. But it's really big." He goes, "It's like 30,000 square feet or something like that, and they've got a bus, and they've got this, and they got a
Yeah.
tower." And I said, "Holy shit! For indoor, I need to see that field." So
Oh, you
as we're
looked at the pictures of it?
yeah. So as he's talking about it, as I'm asking questions about this field, he talked about you owning the field, and And he actually said that you opened up a second field and that kind of thing. So I don't know, but yeah, I was like, oh, I got to find this guy.
So yeah, it's kind of crazy. So like just a small background. My last job, I was a manager at Romeo's Pizza for
Oh
like
shit.
6 years. I've been in fast food my whole life. So I was
Oh,
never like, I didn't go to college. I didn't go to business school. I wasn't like, oh, I want to own a business. It never even crossed my mind.
right.
I literally I played Airsoft for 15 years, 17 years, sorry, 17 years now. So
Yeah.
I'm in the game for a long time. I'm 32.
Okay.
And I would just go to games and I'd be like, I really feel like I could run a field better than this. Like that
Mm,
was my only thought process was like, I think some game modes perhaps like that people run are not what game modes people want to play.
yeah.
So me, basically my brother owns 25%. So I took my life savings, which I had saved from like 6 years of being a manager at a pizza shop,
Yeah.
because it's crazy too. I didn't take out a single loan, like not one loan. Cause people are like, oh, you must have taken out business loans. Like, no, I literally saved up all my money and
What?
I drained my savings account. Um, and then my brother threw in some money, but I threw in like 3 times as much.
Right.
Um, and it definitely wouldn't have been possible without him though, even though he's only 25% owner. He's really good with the construction aspect, which
Okay.
is not my forte. I'm like, give me a hammer and a nail, but he actually like, he can draw it on AutoCAD and like make it look like something cool.
Oh
So
shit. Nice.
I've learned so much too, like, especially now being through two of them, I've learned like the process exactly how you have to do it. Like you have to get a building you can afford,
Mm,
also I like, not that I'm going to give out tips to anybody. I mean, I don't care either too. Like, cause people
yeah.
are always afraid to give out information. I'm like, it's like, whatever. If you want to, if you
Yeah.
want to build an airsoft place next to mine, like go for it. I'm not going to stop you. I think it's going to be good for the community,
Yeah.
but like, you have to go to city hall. You have to like present your business, you
Right.
have to like, so for example, like a lot of people don't know this, the very first city I tried in, they actually shut me down. They said, no, city
What?
hall just didn't like it. Yeah. So it's always, I don't know if a lot of people know that any type of business is 100% subject to the
Mm-hmm.
city, whether they
That's
can
right.
open or not.
That's
So
right.
some people are just like, oh, I can open, and it doesn't work like that.
No.
So for example, like, Cleveland,
Oh yeah.
it's actually illegal to open an airsoft field. So a lot of people,
What?
and like, no, there was a field there for 2 years, but they were never sanctioned. They literally just opened in somebody's warehouse that some guy owned,
Yeah.
but it was never sanctioned by the city. And the
Right.
only reason I know it is because there's what's called an anti-projectile law. So it's literally illegal for you to shoot anything out of any barrel inside city limits. This is just Cleveland, but they were in Cleveland, so that's,
Oh my God.
and I don't know the whole background about why they closed, but people told me they were behind on rent and there was like asbestos, but I know for
Oh
a
yeah.
fact that it is legitimately illegal to open in Cleveland just because of that law.
That's
So like, for
crazy.
example, there's 0 gun ranges in the entire city of Cleveland. Like there's gun shops, you can buy a gun,
You just
but
can't
there is
shoot it.
no gun ranges in Cleveland. There's some in Parma,
Yeah.
right outside, but in Cleveland you can't open one.
They have some weird rules, bro. Like not just
Yeah.
Cleveland, but Ohio in general. When we lived there, all my buddies, a lot of my buddies that I worked with in Twinsburg when I got out of the military, I was working in factories up there, were lived kind of out in rural areas and stuff, Ritztown and shit like that. And we're all talking about the fireworks code that changed in the 90s,
Mhm.
and so they made it you couldn't buy, or no, you couldn't, like a business couldn't sell fireworks in Ohio, some shit like that, but you could let off fireworks. Uh, or
Yeah,
maybe it was the other way
I
around.
remember. No, no, I remember that. I remember that you could buy them, but you couldn't set them off, which is funny
Yeah,
because
that's what it
I'm
was.
32, so I'm just old enough to remember that.
Yeah,
But
like the
it,
dumbest shit ever.
I think it only changed like what 8, 10 years ago, where they changed it.
Okay.
You can actually set off fireworks now.
Oh, you can? Okay, good.
I think. Well, yeah. Well,
Finally.
actually, it wasn't even. I think it was less than that. I think it was almost like 2 years ago. It was pretty
Okay.
recent, which is crazy because I don't know how all these like phantom firework places stay in business.
Yeah, I'm like, what the
Because how do
fuck?
you sell fireworks and you can't set them off? So to piggyback off of that, like one thing I've learned, all my lease agreements,
Yeah.
I always put in grenades are permitted, like in the lease.
Oh, okay.
Basically low grade pyro, because a lot of airsoft field, I don't say a lot, but I would say probably like 40 to 50% don't allow pyro
Hmm.
type grenades,
Right.
just because maybe the type of sprinklers they have, or the landlord,
Mm.
or the city. So Ohio's pretty good about that stuff though.
That's
They
good.
don't really regulate too much of that. And it's more of an insurance thing. It's not much of a city thing. The city doesn't really have a say because,
Right.
for example, EG67s are already regulated by the ATF. They're allowed in the state. You're allowed to sell them. You're allowed to use them.
Hmm.
You know, like tag grenades. You're not. We don't allow tag grenades, but they're actually like, yeah, they got banned for a while. I think they're back. I don't know, but it's.
Bro, can you imagine a tag in? Have you seen them shot before? Have been around them?
I started wearing ear pro at Milsims like almost 2 years ago because of that. Like they're
Bro,
just so unbelievably loud. I'm like, it's not necessary. Like it's
they
just too
shoot like
loud.
a fucking rocket, dude.
Yeah.
We actually, so our second year in our channel, one of our viewers of our YouTube channel lives
Hmm.
up in Maine, and or maybe Boston, somewhere up there, somewhere where it's cold that I don't like. But he's really cool dude. He's like, hey, let me send you this. So we're doing reviews on all these guns and shit that we were getting in these mystery boxes.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, I just got the tag-in launcher that hooks on the bottom of your gun. Like this thing's like $600 or $700, back then.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Back then.
yeah, and then he's got some what are they called? Reaper rounds. Those are the explosive ones with the orange
Yep.
or the blue or something tip, whatever. Anyway, he's like, hey, I'm going to send it to you, and I want you guys to review it for your channel. So he sent us the whole getup, like the whole thing, the launcher and the grenades and everything, dummy grenades, and then this thing. So anyway, I knew nothing about this. I wanted to be surprised on while we were,
On
reviewing
camera.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I didn't look up any videos on tag-in, never even heard of the word. When he sent me the message, I was like, what the fuck is tag-in? I'm thinking like it's maybe a term used in airsoft for like tagging somebody in, like tag, you're in now.
You're out or you're in. Yeah.
Yeah. So we get this launcher, and this thing is fucking heavy duty made, man. It's solid, it's metal. I mean, it's like a real gun part.
Hmm.
The launcher. It reminded me of the M79, without the stock on it
Okay.
that the military used. That was the one that was the short stubby thumper they used to use in Vietnam. So it's just
Hmm.
the barrel that you'd put the grenade in. Well, we hook it on the bottom of the gun. We put a dummy round in there, and we are easily 150 feet from the shed. That video is still up. It's funny as shit. Oh, and he sent us a couple chalk rounds too. But I'm
You're
sitting
just
here on camera.
shooting a shed with it.
Yeah, so we put up a tarp over the shed to kind of, for video purposes, whatever, to see it.
Hmm.
And so we hung this tarp up on the shed, and then around, like, kind of, I didn't know how it was going to shoot. I had no clue. And so we're putting this, we're getting it all set up. These things are rifled. Okay. The barrel's rifled. The round is
Yeah.
rifled.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, holy shit. And so my one son, who knew stuff about it, because they're the ones that actually went to Milsims, they're like, no, man, this thing's going to shoot like a football field, far. And I said, no way. There's no way. It's an airsoft thing. It's like a fucking toy. What are you talking about? This is early, fairly early on our channel. I still didn't know shit. So,
Yeah.
anyway, I was shocked, bro. We shot the first dummy round. It goes through the tarp back into the woods behind our house. It's gone. Like, it's gone. It's in the abyss. Okay. It goes that far. Uh, the the Reaper rounds were fucking insane. So I just couldn't believe I was like hooked on this thing. But yeah, I
I bet.
cannot imagine shooting, one of those inside for
Yeah. Well,
like an
they make
indoor
grenades.
field.
They make tagging grenades. Basically, they're just
Yeah,
made
that's
by the
true.
same company, but they're
Right.
drastically louder
Yeah.
than EG67s.
Yeah.
So hey, another thing to touch on, you said about, you said asked if it was a speed QB field. So I went back and forth so many times on the first location about doing it.
Yeah.
And it's funny, we've been open almost 2 years now. February will be 2 years we've been open.
Oh, okay.
And I'm friends with a couple field owners that have it, and it does not make as much money as people think.
Oh,
Like,
the speed soft stuff?
yeah,
Like
just
tournaments and
regular,
shit?
yeah, tournaments, and people think there's all this money. There's not.
No.
It's just it makes for good video, but from a finance perspective, new players is what keeps the doors open because they're coming in, they're buying stuff, they're buying a rifle, they're buying a full kit.
Yeah.
A speed softer that nothing against, I love playing with them. They're great guys,
Right.
but they're not going to spend a ton of money,
Well, they
especially
have their gear, they have their shit. Like they're
yeah,
looking
they're
to
usually set.
practice. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then one thing I've learned just from owning an airsoft field is there's a very specific type of play that people enjoy. And I
Hmm.
only know it because, like, today's Thursday, we're sold out already for tomorrow and Saturday.
I saw your post, man,
Like,
and
that's
that's a
insane.
great.
Like, it's
I'm glad
Thursday.
you do that. I'm glad you do that. That's a really good thing that I see your posts. So
Hmm.
you keep everyone up to date. If
Oh,
they
yeah.
follow
I try
your
to stay.
Instagram, yeah, they know. Okay, Saturday's full. Sunday we got like 20 tickets left. I think you
Yeah. I try
posted.
to. Yeah. Because it was so funny, too, because we have not changed. We did it from day one. We did ticket sales online, which is another thing a lot of airsoft fields, I think it's becoming more common, but it's pretty rare for, unless you're doing a milsim, pre-sale tickets are not super common for
Oh,
indoor
that's
fields
awesome. Do you
or
have a
open plays
you
just in
do it on
general.
your website or
Yeah, we have our website
okay?
mkairsoft.com, you know.
Yeah, dude.
Um but anyway, the type of play that people really enjoy is a larger indoor facility that can accommodate almost more realistic kill house buildings.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be an exact science. There's no like drawings that are going to be
No.
more enjoyable, but just that's it. People like doorways. They like to cut corners, and they enjoy objective based games. Like
Mm,
I have a rule, and we've stuck to it since day one for my referees. We do not run more than one game of TDM per day. That's it, one.
that's good.
So, and I don't, and I have two good, really, really good managers. I got a general manager for each one of my places, and they do a great job of enforcing that.
Yeah.
But for example, it's usually just the warm up game, and then the other 20 games that day are all going to be objective. You know, and we
That's
have
good,
more. I
man.
think we have more in detail games than some other people.
Mm.
Um, I don't know. We put thought into them. I don't know if you see my Middletown Facebook or Instagram. Do you follow that? It's got the red logo, Middletown MK.
No, I don't think so.
Oh well, I have a whole nother. So it's funny. I run like 7 social media pages because I have an Instagram and a Facebook for both my fields, and then I have a personal Instagram and Facebook, and then I have my airsoft master key. I have Instagram, and Facebook.
Yeah.
I literally manage seven or eight because I help with my team page too, which is just on Facebook. But yeah,
Holy
that's
shit.
eight social media page. Oh, plus my TikTok, plus my YouTube. So that's 9, 10. Yeah, so 10 social media aspects is kind of my life. That's my TikTok though. I've been really slacking on. I have to get back on it because everybody I like to listen to motivational speakers and stuff,
Right.
and everybody's like TikTok, TikTok. And I'm like, man, I
Really?
gotta do better on it because I have 19,000 followers, which is more than all of my other socials combined.
Combined, yeah.
Like I have like 3,000 on one, a couple thousand on the other, but nothing over like 4,000. And
Okay.
I'm like, I have these 19,000 followers and I never post on there. I'm like, what am I doing? I gotta, I gotta do better.
Well,
Um,
from what I've heard, it's really difficult to post airsoft related stuff on TikTok.
that's the other thing. So interesting fact. I actually got my ad privileges removed after like 6 months.
Yeah.
So I'm all organic now. Like people talk about my field and that's how I get people to come, you
Yeah.
know? So for 6 months I was allowed, and then Facebook banned, which is funny because they're owned by the same person now. It sucks. So when Facebook kicked me off, it kicked me off Instagram.
Yeah.
Not like kicked off, but I can't do paid ads, which is funny because like they don't want my money. Like I'm trying to pay you money so you can just run an ad for my
It's
business page, and they
yeah.
won't do it anymore.
No.
So I think
I'm the same
that's
way.
I think that's the biggest challenge of running an airsoft field, from like a financial advertising point, is
Hmm.
the fact that you can't monetize anywhere. Like YouTube
No.
shuts it down. I'm sure you know Players Wanted Joker.
Yes.
Yeah, he's a good friend of mine. I know he lost his page like twice
Yeah.
for nothing, for like literally no reason. Like they just took it away. I think he did get it back, which I was really glad because he's got 700,000 followers on TikTok. Um,
Jesus.
but yeah, it's becoming more and more difficult because they're just everybody thinks airsoft like, oh, it's a real gun. Like that's not, but you can't convince people otherwise.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, see, that's the thing that doesn't make sense to me. These all these different social medias
Mhm.
that they're banning, canceling, whatever they're doing, blind, whatever you call that, shadow
Yeah.
something. Okay.
Shadow banning. Shadow
Yeah.
banning. Yeah.
All that is going on with airsoft, but not with real steel. Real steel is going strong
Which is
on
crazy. What's the
Instagram.
difference?
Now, I'm not sure about TikTok. I'm guess I don't know. I don't actually do TikTok at all. Like I don't have a TikTok. I don't I had one.
Mhm.
Uh I had like 2 people on there. actually two people that I had on the podcast like 8 months, 6 months ago. I'm like, man, I'm taking care of the YouTube channel. I'm scheduling these podcasts. I'm doing these posts. I got to make thumbnails for all these, for Instagram and for YouTube separately because
Yeah.
of the, the layout. And I just don't have time. I'm like,
Yeah,
especially these
I seen
last
your
3 weeks.
schedule. It's packed.
I'm
I'm gonna
packed.
send you.
But you know what's weird about this? You said
There we
about
go.
the ad thing. So
Mhm.
Instagram, same thing happened to us on ours. Just like when I started doing these podcasts, like less than a year ago, when I started really pumping them out. And what bugs me about it is like if you're going to remove my privileges for putting ads out or a way for me to add this post or whatever,
Yeah.
boost that post, then stop giving me options to do it.
Oh
Every
yeah. No, it's
time I
still
go,
there every
oh
day.
God, it's annoying.
Boost this post. I can't. You won't let me.
I'm like, what a fucking, that's, dude, that is like, you, okay, now you're fucking with me, dude. Now you're just
Yeah.
really just fucking with me.
You
Okay.
click on it and it's a blank page. It doesn't say like it doesn't say anything. It literally you just
No.
click on it and it's like nothing's there. You're like, what the
Like, oh my God, dude.
makes no sense.
Uh,
I sent you a
yeah.
screenshot on Instagram
Okay.
of our because I was like, we have two fields. I don't even know if you've seen pictures of our second field. So
No.
they're drastically different.
Okay.
They're size wise, they're almost exactly the same. They're both so technically, technically here, my southern one is bigger by 3,000 square feet, but the field is like 1,000 square feet smaller. So how the building was set up, there was no way for us to get around having a ridiculously sized staging area because of where the bathrooms were located. We had to you have to look at a map, but basically I had to create a hallway from the front door that ran the length of the building, and then there's one opening that goes into the back warehouse area, like loading docks, and that's where the restrooms are. So we have an 8,000 square foot staging area at that location.
Holy shit!
8,000 feet. It's ridiculous. Like I think there's some fields in Ohio that are like 10,000 square feet. So
Right.
it's like 8,000 square feet is our state. It's just ridiculous. And oh man, we looked at it for days. We were like, how can we use this space to get playability out of it? And there was just no way. It wasn't possible because it's just a weird shaped building, and there was only one corridor to get to the staging area.
Right.
So, but it's all one level, so that one doesn't have any high ceilings. What's really cool, it's the only field in Ohio, even not including my other one too, that has AC.
Oh shit!
So yeah, because it actually has low ceilings, and people are like, "Oh, are you gonna run it?" I'm like, "Yeah, I have it. I'm gonna spend the money. Like, it's gonna be the only place you can go inside,
summer, it's gonna
and it'll be
hot as
68
balls in there.
degrees."
Yeah.
Yeah, and we have heat too. The whole field's heated. So Medina's heated, the one up by me, but it doesn't have AC because the ceilings are not insulated. But
gotcha. Yeah, but if your ceilings are high enough, usually, especially if you prop open a door or something like that. Like, do you guys have bay doors?
So it was getting so bad in there. I spent $6,000 on two fans. They're literally called big ass fans.
Oh, those are awesome, dude.
But they're the swamp cooler ones.
Yeah.
And I got two of them, and they actually make. It actually is funny. It took us like 4 to 5 weeks to figure out how they're supposed to be ran. We figured it's water cooled, like we have cold water hooked up to it that's constantly running. We didn't realize you only supposed to run it for like 6 hours a day, 7 at the max. So we were running it 24/7. We were like, let's just run it. Like we have the power, we have the water.
Yeah.
We're in our minds, we're like longer running, more cold. Like it's going to cool the building.
Right.
So we didn't realize, I didn't go to college. I don't know about science, but apparently there's what's called like maximum humidity. So if the air gets so humid, it actually will become hotter. So there's like a sweet spot because they're water cooled fans.
Oh,
So
it's almost like putting out a tiny mist.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's enough that our staging area is 5,000 square feet,
Right.
and we got two of them, and it's enough that it can cool, 10 degrees cooler in that area than it is outside. It's not going to be 60 degrees in there, but it makes a 10-degree difference.
Right.
People love them because it's just, the only cooling system we have. But it was worth the money. I was so worried too. I was like, oh, that's such a lot of money for a fan.
I know. Well, I've seen them. We've used some of the factories I've worked at used them. by the doors and stuff.
Yeah,
Typically they would use them right by the outdoor.
that's what they're
But
made. They're made for big
yeah.
warehouses and stuff.
Hmm.
Yeah, so our second field has been open for this is our third weekend, but we've had
Wow.
really we've literally been going up
So
by
brand new.
yeah, but we're killing it.
Oh, I'm
We're not
sure.
selling out yet, anything like crazy, but we're making enough to pay the rent, which is that's the big
Oh, that's the big thing for
because there's
sure.
not really I know because people ask me too. They're like, "How much market research did you do?" And I'm like, honestly, I picked Middletown because it was the only city I could afford. It
Mm,
wasn't, and I looked in the entire half of southern Ohio.
yeah.
So Columbus is a no starter. Columbus is crazy. Everybody wants for the size space I want, they want between 20 to 50 grand a month.
God bless it.
Which as soon as you get over 10 for an indoor, it becomes difficult to make money.
I'm sure.
So 10,000 is that's the most you should be paying. If you're paying over that, your margins are going to suck.
Okay.
And then Cincinnati, surprisingly, which is a little bit poorer, I
Hmm.
didn't find anything. They just didn't have any big buildings like that for rent. And I found this one in Middletown, and I was like, it's 5 minutes off the highway. I'm
Yeah.
like, it's the city's kind of up and coming,
Hmm.
and the rent was good. And it was funny. The defining factor, it had old sprinklers.
Oh shit.
So, and I even had to check with the fire department because they were so old. I said I wanted old sprinklers because they're called fusible link heads, so they're actually steel.
Hmm.
That's how old they are. There's
Yeah.
the sprinkler, the actual piece that breaks when it gets too hot is made out of metal. So the new ones have mercury and glass.
Right.
And our first location, we had oh man, it was terrible. We had 3 of them break in the first 6 months. So
Holy
just
shit.
flooding the building. So we eventually built stuff. We didn't cover them because
Right.
that's illegal. You can't cover
Yeah.
them. But we built certain things to make sure that they wouldn't get ricocheted and then we
Gotcha.
knock on wood, we haven't had one pop in almost a year now. So I think we got it down to science. But anyway, they're called fusible link heads. And I asked the fire department, I said, "Hey, I want to rent this building. Are you guys going to make me switch these out?" And they looked at the last inspection, and they're like, "No, you're good for another 10 years." I'm like, "All right, cool." I was like, because I'm only renting this building
That's
because of these
awesome.
heads. Because changing out sprinkler heads is 10 to 20 grand.
Oh,
Just the
I'm
heads.
sure.
Not the lines, just the sprinkler
Right.
heads.
Right.
So I wanted to make sure. I was like, that's the game changer for me if I'm doing it or not.
Well, see, that's
So
what a lot of people don't realize. I didn't realize as well, or either was I talked to another field owner. John owns Full Auto Airsoft up in New York,
okay,
and
is that outdoor indoor?
uh, I think it's just indoor.
Okay, I didn't know there was any indoor in New York. That's interesting.
Yeah,
Is
so
it newer?
it's it's fairly new, like within the
Okay,
last year. Uh-huh.
yeah, that's why. Yeah, I haven't
Yep.
heard of it. Yep, it's new.
Yeah,
Okay.
so he's I think actually so he had a store. Full Auto Airsoft was a store.
Hmm.
He had that store for a handful of years, and then just recently opened up the field. Well, the field, the indoor was, I think it's right on the. It's not actually in New York. I think it's in New Jersey because of the laws or whatever. It was easier
I
for
was
him to
gonna
get.
say
Yeah,
New York is actually there's a reason there's almost zero airsoft fields because their
bro.
laws are really weird.
Well,
I was
I
actually
want to
looking
get
at
on
the other
there.
day. I think they have
Yeah,
one outdoor field in the entire state. I
Zulu
have
24.
players. I have players that come from New York to play indoor all the way in my location,
Oh
which is
my God.
crazy.
Yeah.
I had some. It was 2 weeks ago. I had 5 guys from Buffalo. You know,
That's
so
crazy. They got out of they got out of Buffalo just in time, I guess, for that fucking ice storm up there, bro.
right. Yes, I saw that. That was nuts.
That's crazy. But yeah, he was talking about how when he was going through the process, when he's getting inspected and all this shit,
Hmm.
it was, it was delayed because when they found out what he was doing, the size of the building was rated for X amount of people, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So you only need one bathroom. Well, then, we're going to be hosting, these events. So yeah, I guess you have to put in, anywhere from 10 people to whatever, 50. I don't know.
Our we have 2 restrooms and our occupancy is 65.
Okay,
So
65, yeah.
and I
So
could build more
he had to add a
bathrooms,
third one,
but
I guess was what it was. And he's like, there's not that many people going to be in here. Or maybe that's what it was, the size of the building. The occupancy
so
was ever, I don't
yeah,
know.
it's interesting. A lot of, and I learned this too just from owning an airsoft field.
Yeah.
Your occupancy load is not based on your square footage. It's based
Right.
on your restrooms. It's just
Oh.
it's just on how many restrooms you have.
Oh,
There's a certain
oh, oh, okay.
every city, every state is different. But for example,
Gotcha. Yeah.
Medina, where my field is, or just I think it's Ohio in general, it's like 32 people per restroom is the maximum occupancy.
Gotcha.
Now, and that's also per toilet. So, for example, both my airsoft fields both have two restrooms with one toilet each.
Okay.
So, for example, if I had two restrooms and they both had two toilets,
Mm.
then it would, which is interesting, that would drastically increase my occupancy. And it's funny too. People always ask me, they're like, "Why don't you do more? You could have more." It's my Valken rep. He pushes me all the time, not in a bad way, but he's always like, these fields that are half your size are cramming 100 people in, and you're selling out at 65. You could be making so much more money.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, I don't care about the money. I'm like, I know that 65 is the right number. Like, I see 65 people on the field, and that's good. Like, I don't want more
Okay.
than that. You don't want to be getting shot 5 seconds out of spawn.
Mm.
Could I fit 100 people in there? Yeah, but I never
But
will.
the gameplay is not
I'm
going
not
to be
going
fun.
to do it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's going to ruin the gameplay. So
Mhm.
we 65. That number was given us by the city, and we've stuck with it. Which is funny too. Like, I consider myself, every field that we've opened is by the book. Like, there is no loopholes, there is no shortcuts, and I
Right.
think that's what hurts so many airsoft fields. All these fields try to take shortcuts. They find the loopholes. They don't get the right insurance.
Right.
People just open up. They don't even, like, there was it wasn't an Evike one. There was one somewhere either west. I can't remember what city, but the city didn't even know they were there. Like, they just opened and they got shut down like a week after.
Oh yeah.
And then they
I've
made them
heard of
do
that.
all this stuff. I can't remember which one it was, but it was a relatively new airsoft field, an indoor one, and they got shut down like 2 weeks after opening.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a
Well, that
lot of
happened to
steps.
e-bikes as well. The high ground one out in
Yeah,
Texas, that got shut down for same type of thing. They I guess either the occupancy, it was something with the permit thing,
yeah.
maybe the bathroom thing or I don't know. They had to
I think
add something.
something wasn't up to code, and that's the other
Right.
thing too. It's like, how do they even open? Like, did they just open it with, like, because I don't now, especially now I have two of them. Like, I know you cannot open the door until you have an occupancy permit. Like, it's a
Uh-huh.
little piece of paper that says you can open for occupancy. Like, if you don't have that legally, you can't open. So it's like, but
Right.
people still do, and it's crazy. It's like, but
That's
yeah, we have.
yeah, I can't believe people do that when it's such a huge risk. Like this isn't you're not hosting D&D games, right? Or poker games like where there's no risk of or little risk of somebody getting, shot in the face or whatever. Like, you're hosting kids that come out there and young adults that are like blasting at 400 FPS or something, with a BB. And I don't know how these fields would want to take that chance of somebody getting hurt.
Yeah,
And then like you're losing if you get sued like for something like that and you don't have insurance, you don't have the permits, you don't have, bro,
yeah,
bye. Like,
yeah. So, funny story. I actually have and it's gonna be after. It'll be way after this because this podcast is being recorded earlier. But I have the chief of police is actually coming to play at my field on what's today, Thursday, tomorrow. He's coming.
oh
So his
shit.
kid's been playing there forever. And then his dad came in and he introduced himself, and I was like, "Oh, you're the chief of police, all right."
Oh
But
shit.
so it's another small thing that we do. And like I said, I do anything to get me in good with the city. Like, if you're good with the city, everybody's gonna leave you alone.
Oh yeah.
Nobody's gonna bother you. If you have a small infraction, the city's gonna be like, whatever. They're gonna sweep it
Right.
under the rug.
Hmm.
If you're in good with them, we let all the SWAT teams in like the 3 counties around us. They all train for free. I don't
That
charge
is
them a dime.
wild. Now, how did that come up? I'm
Uh,
curious.
Funny story. It was my landlord's idea. So I wanted to have SWAT teams in there to train, and I was coming up with numbers like what I should charge them. And my landlord, he was like, "No," and I'm like, "What do you mean?" And we were like sitting down just talking about it. And he's like, "You should not charge them anything." I was like, "Nothing." I'm like, "I got to pay the rent." And he's like, "I'm telling you," he's like, "good karma, just don't do it." I'm like, "All right." So from day one, we've never charged them a dollar. And half of them are regular patrol officers, half of them are SWAT. So, the city knows we're there. They like us. We don't cause any trouble. We stay,
Dude,
we don't have loiterers. We don't have people like
that's
doing stuff
smart.
they're not supposed to be doing.
Right.
So the city is definitely like they're happy with me being there. We brought life
Right.
to an old building. It's a pickle factory.
Yeah.
So
You know what's funny is when I found out when I started looking up your field and I was like, oh, when Raptor told me it was like, it's in Medina, and I'm like, that's not far from where I, was at. So I looked up on Google Maps, was the older picture, the street view,
yeah.
and I was like, oh, this must be a recent. I didn't know how long you guys have
Oh,
been there. So
the building was empty for like, it wasn't empty, but it was basically unoccupied for like 50, 60 years. The guy was
holy
storing,
shit.
he was storing paper there. My landlord, he's put, I'm just guessing, I don't know the actual numbers, but probably, 500, 600,000 into this building because
Wow.
it was trashed. There was a tornado that came through. The previous owner never fixed the roof. Like, he got a really good deal on it, but he's been just busting his butt to fix everything.
Right.
And I was the very first tenant to move in, so I think that's kind of why I got a good deal
Right.
because the building was it looked like crap. I'm like, it's kind of sketchy. Like, I don't think soccer moms are gonna drive and drop their kids off here
You'd
because
be
even the
surprised,
parking
man.
lot was packed with
Yeah.
just junk and trailers and rust.
Oh shit.
Like, just getting the parking lot cleared was like 2 months in itself
I'm
because there was
sure.
just so much and this guy just left it all there.
Yeah.
So, but it's been doing good. We're not. I signed a 5-year lease and I have a 5-year re-up in my contract. So, like, I'm going to be there 10 years. And
Yeah.
if they don't gouge me after 10 years, I'll be there for another 10.
Yeah.
I did the same thing with my other one in Middletown. Um, and yeah, it was a huge risk because it's airsoft. It's one of the funny things that you cannot go and look at blueprints. And
Right.
it's not because people don't share. There's just so few airsoft fields
Mm-hmm.
and they don't last very long. I don't want to say they don't last, but I don't know what 40% of them go out of business in 2 years. Either they're not
Yep.
ran right or they didn't follow, the building codes.
Exactly.
Um,
Well, I think that's why too.
so
Like if you try to do market research, it's one of the few
you can't.
sporting
There is
event
none.
thing. There's nothing
Yeah,
because, like you said earlier, half the fields that opened and people were playing at like 10 years ago, 5 years ago,
they're
there's no
gone.
record of it because they weren't legit anyway.
Yeah,
So they're not filing numbers. Like it's really difficult to find info on it.
I tell people it's like I think people think it's like or maybe they hope it's like a McDonald's.
Right.
Like, you can open a McDonald's and there is an exact document,
Yep.
binder that tells you step for step, how much capital you're going to need, what steps you're going to need
Yep.
to take, how many employees you need to hire. An airsoft field, you're like, well, guess I'll just figure it out,
Yep.
you know. And like I said, I'm not an expert, but I'm officially 2 in, and they're both profitable. Like,
Right.
which is also unheard of. Like, we turned a profit in our first month on both fields, and that was like, now especially our name is becoming really well known. Like, we have brand awareness, which is
Right.
always the goal.
Yep.
MK Airsoft. It's like everybody knows who we are now. 2 years ago, people are like, "What? Who's that?" But
Yeah.
now, yeah, like I said, we're selling out 2 days before we even open. Like,
Yeah.
that's nuts. That many people on a Friday too, which is like, I don't know. Back in the day, there was no airsoft fields open on Fridays. Like, that wasn't even a thing.
Right.
We sold out on Tuesday, 2 days ago. I was actually blown away though. That's not normal. Usually Tuesday is like 20 people. Like, it's a low key day. But I forgot it's because it's summer. It's winter break, so all
Yeah.
the kids are out of school.
Yep.
Because I was like, I have the ticket sales on my phone, and I was like looking. And I was like, all day, and I was like, what the heck? What's going on? I was like, is there an event at my field I don't know about?
Oh,
Because
no shit, right?
yeah, we sold out.
Yeah, I
Um,
remember well, last week when you and I were chatting and we're texting back and forth to figure out. So when I texted you, because I didn't usually I'll send a reminder, because I schedule these, a couple
advance.
days to a week out or whatever. So I'll hit somebody up like in the morning of that, that day we're supposed to do it that night or whatever, just so they know. And like Austin from Blue Mag, the last time him and I talked, he's like, definitely send me a reminder. So I sent him, I was like, hey, see you tonight, kind of like what I did this morning, or early this afternoon with you, and he's like, holy shit, I'm so glad I didn't even remember that we were doing that tonight. So glad
Oh,
my
me or
schedule.
yeah.
No, Austin from Blue
Oh,
Mag. He
okay.
was
I was
like,
like,
yeah,
that happened to me.
no, yeah, that's what happened with you as well last week. But see, normally I send it way earlier, but I sent it like what was it, a half hour or something
Yeah.
before the call.
Hmm.
And I didn't get a response right away. And my wife was doing something I was going to help her with. I was like, well, I won't be on that long. It's like an hour, hour and a half. Usually I was around,
Hmm.
and then, um, so I was like, well, let me see, so I sent you the message and I didn't hear back right away. So I'm like, okay, well, let's wait a few minutes. And then you were like, oh shit, like, yeah, what? And so anyway, we,
So
yeah, when you said that, I was like, right away, when I saw your first message, like maybe next week or something, I was like, okay, bet. So I went in, I
next week.
left the computer, I went in and I started helping her. And then, so I was kind of busy, not busy, but I was like, I made
Yeah.
plans like just instantly, like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm freed up. So then you were like, oh no, scratch it. I can do it. And
And then
I was like, oh
you
shit.
were too busy. Yeah.
I was like,
No, it worked out. It worked out.
well, when I was thinking of that, when I was thinking about rescheduling for this week, I thought, you know what? He's running an airsoft field. I'm sure he's busy as fuck. Uh,
Two of them
and the
now.
kids are off school. So for that week, and I thought, well, I'm going to hit him up for next week and see. But if he says he's going to be too busy, running the field, then no big deal.
Yeah.
But
So you know what I think is another fascinating thing? There is a graveyard of startups that never happen. And it's not me like hating on anybody. It's just nobody. I don't think not nobody, but a lot of people think it's much easier, or maybe they think it's way less capital. So, for example, I've seen 3 different people in the last 2 years try to open an indoor field, and then 4 weeks later, they never heard from them ever again.
huh?
Like they went as far as like posting about it, like, "Hey, I have a building." Um, so, for example, this new location, and this is
Yeah.
just like you don't know. Like there's things that people don't tell you. Something I didn't know, even though I've been open for 2 years, I'm in a industrial complex, which industrial areas have very low traffic. So just in general, the insurance is cheaper because it's industrial. They know that there's not a lot of people coming and going,
Yeah.
which was a whole nother thing. I had to change my zoning to from industrial to entertainment for that one when I did it.
Huh.
It wasn't super difficult, but so the new one, it's in a shopping center, and
Hmm.
the insurance was 5 times as much as my current insurance.
Oh shit.
So, and this is obvious. This is not the price I pay, but I'm just going to give you the number. The coverage I have for Medina is 2 million.
Yeah.
That's just like if somebody gets hurt, I'm covered up to 2 million. If the building burns down, I'm covered up to 2 million.
Right.
So my other one in Middletown, they wanted $9 million in insurance.
Holy shit.
And another thing that nobody tells anybody, because I'm a new company in that area. I'm not a new business. I've been in
Mm-hmm.
business, but just because I'm a new company, the insurance, and that nobody knows what Airsoft is.
Uh-uh.
Insurance is just like, they're like, what? We don't want to insure you. We don't know what that is.
We don't
They
even know.
wanted the whole year up front.
What?
It was $8,000. They
Holy
wanted. I had to
shit.
pay them. I had to write a check for the whole thing because I don't know if they didn't trust me or like
They don't. There's
they
not,
just
like you said. There's not enough
that didn't happen
research.
with the first one. They were like, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Give us a little deposit month to month. This
It's
other place, they were
Medina.
like,
It's
yeah,
Medina. Okay.
they were like, yeah, 1 year, you need to pay us all of it right now, or you can't open. And I was like,
Dude.
it was just like a huge ass expense that
Yeah.
because I think one of the fields that did try to open, nobody would insure him. He literally could not find insurance. Like there was no company that
Mm.
wanted to touch it because it is high risk, which is funny because there's not really a lot of claims, but it's high risk in the fact that they don't know what it is, so they're going to assume it's high risk. Like, oh, what,
I
people are getting
wonder.
shot?
Oh, they
Like, I don't
have
want to
to.
deal with that.
They have to.
You know?
Yeah, they have to go err on the high side as opposed to, oh, there's very little risk here, and then somebody gets an eye shot out.
Yeah.
I mean, wonder if they would recognize paintball because when you go on like if you try to categorize like before YouTube and Facebook and all these things kind of deplatformed the monetization crap or whatever for
Yeah.
airsoft stuff. This happened
Right.
somewhere around 2019, 2020, when they changed their term of service that year. And this is when, I don't know if you remember this, but Swamp Sniper, his channel, his YouTube channel got demonetized, the whole channel overnight when they changed the term of service because the algorithm they rewrote or whatever just kicked everything out. And it took him a while to get his channel back on.
So
And he had over 1 million subs.
yeah, that's crazy.
Mhm.
I watched some of his videos. He's good.
Yeah.
So funny you said talk about terms and services. and if you're heavily involved in PayPal, you probably already know this. Um, so it was literally 2 months ago. So for example, my field, we don't do refunds, and it's funny because some people is like, oh, that's illegal. No, it's not.
No.
It's 100% legal. You can
Right.
dictate what you do in your private business.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of companies offer refunds because they assume it's better for business,
Right.
but because we're a smaller company, we just don't do refunds.
Yeah.
Everything we sell is brand new, so it has a manufacturer warranty. You can send it back to the manufacturer, and
Right.
it's a 30-day warranty. But if you bring it back to us, we're not going to help you. But another thing that was interesting, we don't do refunds on tickets. Some people get upset,
Right.
but it's funny because I have this platform right now is going to give me a chance to say it really quick. But basically, if we sell a ticket and we reserve it for you, and we close the tickets, and then one day before you decide you can't come, you're sick,
Mm-hmm.
the morning of, your car doesn't start, which is like, and I'm not being an asshole, but it's like, that's not our problem.
No.
So then if you don't show up and you ask for your money back, now I can't resell that ticket because it's already gone. We've already closed out sales. We say, hey guys, we're sold out.
Right.
So, and I never take the time to explain it to every single person. But what's fascinating is 2 months ago, PayPal just updated their service agreement that says they will not refund services. Basically, anything that's a product, you can get a refund on through PayPal. But
Right.
if you pay for a service, PayPal won't refund you. Like just straight up, period.
Yeah.
Like a cleaning company, and you pay them with PayPal, it's a service. It doesn't matter. Like, and it kind of sucks for the consumer. From my point, it's good because now PayPal is kind of like it's on my side.
Yeah.
But I thought that was interesting. I just, some people don't read
Well,
their
it
emails.
is.
I read my emails. So
I read mine too, and I read terms of services, and that's terms of service stuff with whatever I'm going to be involved in. So if something changes, I read through something like that. I won't read the whole thing, like PayPal thing when that came out. I scanned through the email.
So you did see it, yeah.
Yeah, I
That's
saw
what
that.
it was about.
Yeah.
The big cover letter in that announcement was that they will not refund services anymore.
Yeah.
It even took me a second. I'm like, services. I'm like, oh, services versus goods.
Yeah.
You can still refund goods, but you cannot pay, which is crazy because PayPal is a huge conglomerate. So the fact that they just came out and decided, hey, we're not going to refund services anymore.
Well, I think too, they're trying to figure out, that, and other venues or whatever, other platforms that for money, for ways to send money to people or spend money is I think they're trying to figure out how to fix some of these issues where see, I don't know why they act dumb. Okay. Amazon has the fucking shit like laid out for you. Okay. When you do a return for Amazon, here's how it works. You don't like the product. You go on and on your phone, it's fast as fuck. They get a really user-friendly setup, right? On the computer, wherever you go into your account, you say, hey, click this. It gives you a big check, button right there, return, reasons for return. If it's within the days, the time frame that you can return it, and it gives you instructions on how to return it. You don't get credit for that return. Like you don't get money back or in your account or, your Amazon thing, whatever, until somebody at UPS or whatever scans that item or scans that return, label saying that they received it and will send it back to Amazon for them to do whatever they got to do.
So you're saying people get upset about it because it's not immediate?
That is perfectly laid out. Okay. So that's how it should be.
Ideal.
When you go to eBay and buy something on eBay, you send it to somebody, they do a return when they get it, and they say, oh, item was broken or whatever. So they automatically take the money out of your account right then and give it back to that person that purchased something from you. You cannot dispute it. You can't. It doesn't matter if you do or not. And there's no guarantee that person's going to send it back. Their eBay is not holding them accountable.
I feel like eBay is kind of a dying breed. I could be wrong, but I feel like it's kind of dying out. Yeah.
So I'm wondering, if they're trying to figure that kind of thing out, but I'm like, you already got a fucking system in place that you could, an example that you could go from, just follow that. It'd be real easy.
So
I did the same thing. I didn't do refunds on my stuff either. So when I did giveaways, if somebody bought something for, that would enter them in the giveaway, I'm not doing a refund.
Yeah.
And I would say that in the description.
Yeah, we have it all over.
Los Angeles,
I have it in 2 places on my website, and I have it on my front counter, and I have it on the wall next to my front. So it's in 4 places. So it's like you can't check out without seeing it. It's not possible.
Right.
So anyway, are you ready for my big announcement?
I'm ready.
This is the break. Now we're going to the big announcement.
Yeah.
I am 3 months into a lease on my 3rd field.
What?
So I signed it, which is I'm the most ambitious person I've ever met in my life. That's not true. There's more ambitious people. But when I talk to people, they're like, "What is wrong with you?" So
well, you
as
found
crazy
something
as
you like, so
yeah. I intentionally, and this is at 3. I don't want to do more than 3. I can't. I mean, I could, but I don't want to be a giant conglomerate. My goal is always, I just wanted more places to play.
Yeah.
So I'm officially an owner of 3 airsoft fields. The 3rd one's not open yet. It's in Willard, kind of close to Sandusky.
Oh, okay.
And the only reason I signed the lease was for 2 reasons. One, because I found it at the same time of Middletown. So even my brother, who was like, he is the calm voice and I'm the crazy guy. And he's like, "Are you sure we should do this? Because like signing 2 leases at the same time, like seems kind of crazy."
Uh-huh.
And I won't say the exact amount, but they're both between, 5 and 10,000. So they're not, these are big numbers that you're signing your life away. You got to pay every month.
Sure.
So the only reason I signed it was the most unique building I have ever seen in my life as far as airsoft goes. I've seen definitely more unique AOs for milsims, but as far as an indoor location, it was the craziest building I've ever seen. The rent was cheap. Like I've never seen rent this cheap. And I just happened to find it at the same time. And I basically told the guy I wanted it. I went and looked at it twice, and he came back and he's like, "So you want to sign it?" And I was like, "I'd love to sign the lease." And this is why I kind of like pushed him out a little, because I knew the building had been empty for 10 years. So I was like, this guy's desperate. 10 years empty. You're not making any money for 10 years. You'll take anything. And not that I tried to talk him down, but I was like, "Hey, I actually am opening another location. So my funds are all tied up. I'm like, I would love to give you a $5,000 deposit and sign the lease, but I can't get in there and start working, which means I can't pay you anything for a while."
Right.
He gave me 5 months for free. So,
oh my God, that's awesome.
Which it literally, like legitimately, I financially wouldn't have been able to handle it if that didn't happen.
Right.
But so to explain it, like I don't even have pictures posted yet. Well, now that this podcast is out, I will have pictures posted so you guys can see.
Yeah.
But it has 3 different sections that we're making able to flow into basically like one nice airsoft field. Same size. It's like 35,000 square feet.
That's a good size, man. Because you got some room to
it's
work
like the
with.
sweet spot. It is, because my one's 33, my one's 36, and this one's 35. So I've played it like smaller, and it just doesn't like, it's harder to build a nice field when you're 20,000, 15,000. It's just difficult. 30 is like the sweet spot, because you go bigger than that, it's hard to manage that many players. You go because some people are like, "Oh, 60,000 square feet would be awesome." Like, that'd be good for a milsim, maybe more like small scale.
Right.
But yeah, you need more refs. You need more ref stations. It's just hard. That's a big space. You know how much lumber you need to cover 60,000?
Exactly.
You need $500,000 of lumber just to fill it.
Especially
it's a big empty building.
Yeah.
So anyway, it has essentially a front area that is all enclosed. It used to be a church, and that is where our staging area is going to be. We have a nice big storefront that's going to be there. Once again, it's in a shopping plaza. Interesting fact though, insurance carries over. I didn't know exactly how that works, but so all my insurance is bundled together. So I already have like more than enough insurance to cover this place, which is crazy. I don't even understand how it works. But I was talking to him and I said, "Hey, I'm opening a 3rd location. How much additional insurance am I going to need?" So the building owner only wanted $2 million in coverage, that's normal, that's standard. And they were like, "You're covered." I'm like, "What do you mean?" And they're like, "No, you're paying enough between the 2 buildings that your insurance is like, it's an umbrella policy. It covers, all of it. So you don't need additional." I was like, "Oh, that's sweet."
Holy shit, that's nice.
So that was a huge saver for me too.
Yeah.
But so there's this front section, then there's basically a bunch of partitions. It used to be like a storefront and some different areas there. And then there's a 2nd floor. This is roughly the center of the building. So there's like lower, There's 2 staircases that go upstairs into a second floor that has offices. Has like
Oh,
this cool
shit.
second floor. It's got like carpeted, maybe 7, 8 offices.
Yeah.
And then you go down and you can go under. There's 5 different doorways that go through to the other side. So you can either go up or you can go through these doorways. Now you get to the other side, it's a giant warehouse with 35-foot ceilings. So ideally for me, anytime I can put up 2-story buildings is like I'm going to kill the competition, because
Yeah.
2-story buildings are just insanely fun.
Oh,
There's just
yeah.
like, if you go to an
That's what
airsoft
I've heard.
field that has 2 stories and one that doesn't, you're going to be like, because it's so
Mhm.
rare. Very
Right.
few people have, and I'm not talking about like a raised platform that you go up 2 feet and you can
Right.
like shoot down. Like I'm talking like an actual kill house that's on a second floor.
Uh-huh.
So we have the warehouse in the back that has 30-foot ceilings. It's broken up into like 16 and 17 or something. So like 17,000, 16,000. So when you get in the warehouse, there is a second floor built out of lumber on the back corner that's literally 3,000 square feet. And
Holy shit.
it has like 7 to 8 rooms that are all connected. I was like, I walked in this place. And I
What
was like,
was
this
this
is
place?
so it was a lumber yard and a display front, which is because it's in a shopping center. I've almost, I don't want to say never, but I don't think I've ever seen a warehouse connected to a shopping center. It's extremely rare.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and you can tell it was an add-on. They actually built the warehouse after they built the shopping center. Because standard shopping centers, like, what do you need a warehouse for of 17,000 square feet? It's huge. It's unnecessary. So it was a lumber yard. So I'm assuming they used all their own lumber. But this structure that they built in the warehouse, probably $150,000 in lumber.
Holy
So I was like,
shit, bro.
so basically you have flat, goes up into an office, comes down, flat, goes up onto another second floor that's like 20 feet in the air.
Yeah.
And it's 3,000 square feet, like, of a second story already built. So I was like, this is going to be the most like, I love my first location and it's amazing, but I think this could be one of the best fields in the country, if not like top field in the country, just because of how unique the layout is.
Okay.
I said it's crazy. I've never seen a building like it, and it's going to be so unique, and it's all about flow too. Like if you can get it to flow well, that's where it becomes really fun. But just the fact that it has the ability of 2 completely different second floors, it's like, that's just going to be insane in of itself, because people love fighting on stairways. I don't know what it is. People like to throw grenades up and down stairs. People like to shoot upstairs. Like, it's just a fun thing to do.
Exactly.
I see it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So this is perfect. So so as you're telling me about this, this building,
Scroll through the pictures.
Yeah, buddy.
But anyway, that's it. And it's fun because I have no intentions of going more than 3, because 3 is already, I mean, I'm a freaking franchise. Like, I don't know anybody. I don't want to say anybody. Maybe in California and Texas, and there might be maybe in Florida.
So
where people own more than 2.
Yeah, e-bike has, more than 1, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they definitely have 2. I think there might be 3.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how many they have, if it's 2 or 3, because
I've never heard of a third one, but it's possible that I might be behind the times.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, and for you being in the game for just 2 years, as far as owning a field.
Yeah, which is crazy to go from 1 to 3 in 2 years.
You got the first one, let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have any plans when you first thought of, or how did it come up that you said, hey, I want to, start a field, and then you started, like, really made it concrete, like, in your head, I'm definitely going to do this. I'm going to be looking. It's not a, if I find somewhere, then maybe I'll do it, or maybe, whatever.
So I probably looked for like 6 months on just like different real estate websites to find the right building. And it was funny. There was kind of I'm not going to like say a name or anything, but I actually like ended up writing a check for like $15,000 that I thought like that was a normal amount for a deposit, and it's not for an industrial building because I never rent one.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, the guy ended up just not working out. We had differences, so I almost didn't get my money back. But that literally almost, like, if I didn't get my money back, I probably wouldn't own airsoft fields today,
Right.
Because it was like so instrumental in that money that I needed to go toward the project.
Right.
It would have been very difficult without it. But anyway, I had to like get a lawyer and basically like threaten to sue him. I didn't actually have to sue him, but I got a lawyer and I got the money back, and I actually gave up. I was like, I was like, you know what? Maybe I'm not cut out for entrepreneurship. Like I just got taken advantage of.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very lucky that I was able to get my money back, but maybe it's not for me. This guy messages me out of the blue. I didn't even find the building. This guy messaged me out of the blue. He said, "Hey, are you still trying to open an airsoft field?" And I was like, yeah, I mean, I was like, kind of, but not actively. And he's like, "I have this building that my uncle owns. He just bought it, and there's no tenants in it." And I was like, "All right, that sounds sweet." I'm like, "Where's it at?" He's like, "Medina." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "That's 8 minutes from my house." So I literally go look at it the same day,
Yeah.
and I was blown away. I was like, "This building is sick." I'm like, "It's huge." He was giving me a good deal on rent. I was like, I just pulled the trigger.
Yeah.
I wrote him a check like a week later and signed the lease. And it was funny too. I actually quit my job 2 weeks before we opened.
Oh shit.
So there was like, and there was no like guarantee of ticket sales or like, I just had this monster amount of rent that I had to pay every month. And I was like, I'm just going to go balls to the wall.
Yeah. You jumped in feet first and said,
I never looked back. I've never
yeah.
taken another job. I've never taken a
You're
side
like, I'm gonna
hustle.
make this work.
So I think, and it's funny too, because I know a couple field owners that have other things that they do, and it's not bad. There's nothing wrong with that, but that's, I think, what maybe hurts their success is that their field is not their 100% priority.
Absolutely.
Like they have this other thing that they do that makes more money, I guess, maybe.
Yeah.
And I've never done anything except for
at
run.
the moment, right?
At the moment, right? I've never done anything except for run these airsoft fields since I quit my day job 2 years ago. So, and it's nice because like I have 100% of the time I need to do stuff. Like if I want to go update the field tomorrow, I'm going to go update the field. If I want to paint a building, I'm going to go paint a building. If I want to go in and build some polar stars to put on the wall so we have more guns to sell, I can do that.
You said you listen to a lot of motivational stuff.
Yeah.
I do as well, and I read. I've been doing that since the early '90s.
I just started listening to Alex Ramosi. I don't know if you heard of him.
No, I haven't heard of him. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll have to check him out.
Yeah, he's on YouTube. He's pretty good.
Rob Dial Jr. Of course, one of my biggest, or I guess I'm a big fan of Tony Robbins, right?
Yeah, I got a lot of Tony Robbins.
Yeah, so that is, when you start learning some of these business, like the mindset. So there's a theory out there, or stories out there about and talks. I think it was from Coach K originally. I can't remember, but the teaching about how to win, or how to I think it was like coaching to win as opposed to how not to lose. Right? There's you'll have the same. You could have the same results in the end, but it's a way different approach. So what you're saying, what you did with the field, you quit your job, like, okay, I'm going to make this work kind of thing.
Yeah, like I didn't have a plan B. There was no like, hopefully it works. Dude, like I just did it. This
is success 101. Like when you, it really is. That's one of the biggest steps is doing that right there, because it changes your mindset. And a lot of people think, well, if I have this to fall back on, then I can, I'm freed up a little bit to do this. But your mindset's different, because we're kind of lazy, as people.
Yeah.
Most of us are kind of lazy. We want to find the simplest, easiest way or whatever, it's and sometimes that's good, to kind of go with the flow. Like, don't resist everything. You don't have to break through a brick wall every time you do something.
Yeah, I think that's one thing a lot of people don't talk about too. Like when you're an entrepreneur, people are like, oh, it's great, you can do whatever you want every day. It's like, yes, but I have to motivate myself to work. Yep. Like I don't have a boss.
Yep.
There's nobody to tell me, hey, you should probably invest in this, or hey, wouldn't it be cool if you open another field? You should probably go and like do stuff today.
Yeah.
So like, in a lot of it, I've so much stuff I've had to learn on my own. Like I literally do all the social media. So like I said, I have 7 accounts I run. I handle all of the social media.
Right.
I do all of the paperwork as far as like taxes and my profit and loss sheet. Like I don't have a guy. Like I just do it. Like,
yeah.
And I went to a tax guy and I was like, I showed him my profit and loss sheet and like all my numbers. And I was like, hey, like, am I doing it right? Like that was, I swear to God, I was like, I don't want to owe $700,000 at the end of the year because I'm not crunching my numbers right.
Yeah.
And I was like, do I need to hire somebody to do this? Because I will if I'm not doing it right. And he's like, no, you're doing it right. And I was like, so why would I hire somebody? He's like, well, most business people just don't have time, or they don't know how. It's one of the two. They either don't have time or they don't know how. And I was like, well, I have the time and I know how. So I've never passed that baton. I like to know the numbers. I like to see them
Sure.
and stay on top of them. But to go back, um, it's like what it actually took to get to the step of like having enough money. I put in 60 hours a week for like 3 years straight.
Mm.
Like, and I was a manager at Romeo's, and on top of being a manager, I would pick up delivery days almost 2 days a week where I'd work 8-hour shifts just delivering pizzas
Yeah.
and getting tips. And in the car every day while I'm delivering these pizzas, I didn't listen to music. I just listened to like inspirational podcasts. And I was like, and it was kind of funny because I started listening to those before I knew what I was trying to do.
Yeah.
It was like, I know I don't want to work at a pizza shop forever. So I was like, I don't know what the next step is, but I was like, I want to be inspired. So, and then like I said, the next thing that happened, and
Yeah.
but I literally just worked and worked and worked, and I saved and saved, and then
Well, this call
how
out
it
of the blue. Well, first off, one thing that a lot of people most people do not talk about, and this is why we don't hear a lot about some of these instances, is like what happened with you. You ventured into something, you paid the money, a big sum of money,
Yeah.
and then it didn't work out. Whatever happened with that guy and the building or whatever, but then you almost didn't get your money back. So
Yeah.
those thoughts you had about, man, I don't know, like I just got taken for this much. I should have been
Yeah.
smarter. I should have looked at,
Right.
more critical thinking, not as hopeful, not as open, that kind of thing. And this kind of thing happens a lot. Like so many people, I know I've been scammed before. I put money down on a place years and years ago, and it turned out that it wasn't, like the number I called, the person I talked with, whatever, they were like, oh, we're out of state, just send us the money, you can get the key or whatever. No, it was a scam. I had no clue.
Jeez.
I felt like a fucking
Like
dumbass.
timeshares.
Yeah, I felt like an idiot. My son got scammed online, not just last year. And once he thought about it and he was telling me about it, he's like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. But in the heat of the moment, it was a couple $100. It was no big deal. But
Yeah.
still, these little things that happen, people take a hit with these things and they don't want to tell anybody because we feel stupid.
No, yeah, I really didn't talk about it, but yeah, I
I'm
almost
sure.
lost $15,000.
Oh, and I'm sure
And
that, that just makes your heart sink. Like,
yeah,
fuck, now what?
yeah, I would have. Thank God I
but
didn't quit Romeo's before then. But
well, not only that, but the universe told you, or some force basically said, "Hey, keep doing this because here's a building for you." Like if this came up out of the blue, you've put in this work and
mm,
opened doors somewhere that this came up. So
yeah.
now, when did you decide to get a second building? Like,
So you're gonna laugh. It actually came out of boredom. Um,
okay,
and
I'm laughing.
the reason being, my staff is doing such an amazing job, and
Mm,
this is the goal. The goal is that
right.
because I still consider myself an employee. It's the hardest thing to get out of, like as a mindset.
Gotcha. Right.
I've always had a boss. I've never even been a general manager. I've always been like assistant manager or like a co-manager. I've never been the general manager. So I've never even been number one in
Gotcha.
like all the restaurants I've worked at. So now it's like I'm an owner, and I'm thinking back to Romeo's. I saw my owner once a month. That was it.
Mhm.
Once a month. He came in and said, "Hey, what's up? How are the numbers?
Yeah.
Is anybody we need to fire? Okay, nice. Have a good day. 5-minute meeting."
Yep.
And now I'm the owner. I was there every day for a year. Like the first 6 months, I swept the field by myself.
Right.
I don't know. Like now, I hire people to do everything, and I have a manager. He's my GM. He's awesome. I have a head referee, and these were positions that I didn't even know needed to exist.
Mm.
Because once again, there's no playbook. There's
Mm-mm.
no, hey, you should do this. So I found through long term that I have like 16 regular refs for each location, roughly 15, 16, and then I have a
Wow.
head ref.
That's
But
good.
I didn't realize that I needed that position for the longest time. I think maybe like the first year, and I realized I'm like, I need a guy that's dedicated, that can take care of this place, that
Mhm.
runs the games. Because my general manager, he can only run the counter. He cannot control the field.
Right.
It's just not physically possible to do that and know what's going on out there. So I need somebody that's 100% accountable, that runs the games, that knows who's doing what, and takes care of it. So eventually I came into that position. I hired a head referee. But anyway, so out of boredom, I ran out of things to do. They had all the hours covered, and I'm used to working 60 hours.
Right.
That's just in my brain. I'm like, I have to work. So I literally started looking. I was like, we just look for another building. I was like, even my brother was like, you think we're ready for number 2? And I'm like, I've made money in the last year. And I was like, I have all this money that I've made from the first one.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know what to do with it. I thought about going into real estate, and I was like, I don't really like real estate. I don't want to be a landlord.
Yeah.
So, and it was a substantial amount of money. And I was like, why don't we just try to open another one? And after I did it, and now it's funny because we're only 3 weeks in, but just from the numbers, it's going to be good. There's no it's going to do terrible. Just in the few weeks we've been open and the numbers we've done, we will be perfectly fine, So, and now that one's up and running. And that one was crazy fast. I left after 6 weeks, and I'm going to go check.
Shit.
I'm going to go check on it once a month. But they
and that's a totally different area. That's what, 2 hours from
3 hours. Yeah. 3 hours
from Medina. So how did you find him? Now the one in Medina,
so what I did,
go ahead.
I was going to say what I did. I hired a general manager and a head ref. I had them come down for 1 week to Medina to train. I paid for their hotel. I was like, come down here.
These guys? In
just in the airsoft industry, and I posted in Middletown, hey, who's looking for a job that has airsoft experience. I said industry. There's no airsoft industry. Airsoft experience.
Right.
They play airsoft.
Mm-hmm.
You don't usually find people that work at airsoft fields. It's very rare.
Right.
So I wanted somebody that was slightly knowledgeable. You don't have to know how to tech guns.
No.
I just need somebody that knows the difference between an HPA gun and an electric gun. You gotta know the basics. So I found both of them. And they've both been doing really great since the start. And I got all my referees hired, which is funny because a lot of people want to ref. It's because it's a fun job though. And everybody's in this economy where everybody's struggling, I never struggle. I've always found employees. Every single time I put out one post, hey, we need some employees. Boom. 5 seconds later, I got 5 people messaging me. So I was down there for 6 weeks after. So they had the additional 2 weeks of training, and then they had 6 weeks with me. So basically 2 months of training total. Roughly 2 months.
That's good.
So now I'm just going to go down once a month to check on them, and we have our cameras and stuff, so I can check on them whenever I want.
Right.
It's audio, so make sure they're not messing around. But they're doing good. The field is doing good, and it's that field opened so smooth because we had everything in place. Our game modes were already written up. We just had to dedicate different areas of the field with different names.
Yeah.
Just exactly how we do stuff is very set. There is no hey, you might do it this way, you might no. We do 15-minute games with 10-minute breaks. There is no let's do a 20-minute. No, it's 15-minute games, 10-minute breaks. We have a clock. You religiously hit that clock. We have a game board. You come in every morning. The head ref's going to write the games on the board, and that's the games we're going to play today. Everything has a system now. So it's this third one's going to be really easy now because I'm all right, I got 2 fields under my belt that are both making money. It's not a lot of people can say that, you know. Then it's
and then the third one's going to be just smooth as fuck too when it opens because you already have this system set up.
And we have, like I said, we have the following. That's huge. The fact that I ran into a guy Tuesday. This was 2 days ago. And I said, hey, didn't I just see you at Middletown last week? Because I was in Middletown working. And he's like, yeah, I live in Columbus. He's like, both your fields are the exact same distance, 2 hours from me. I was like, oh, that's awesome. So we literally have players that live in Columbus that go to both locations.
Holy shit.
You know what I mean? And that's how good our reputation is.
Right.
If you want to watch, there's a YouTube video. I can send it to you. But this guy did a review on our new field, and he gave us really, really good remarks. And he's like, hey, if you've played at Medina, guess what? You can expect Middletown. It runs exactly the same. And I was like, yes.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
So he's like, the games are fast paced. They stay on top of the clock. The refs are really nice. He just gave us all good remarks, and they handle cheaters. That's another big one. We stay on top of that. I'm the only field I know of. I ban somebody every other month. Not to be an asshole, but it's just I don't tolerate that. A lot of fields are so afraid to ban people. They think it's going to hurt their bottom line. They just let this bad toxic behavior just continue and continue. And because they think like, oh, well, this guy comes in every week and he pays. No, I don't care. If you're causing other people to have a bad time and we've given you multiple warnings, we're gonna, say, you're done for six
Okay, so
months.
yeah, I was just talking with a girl in Georgia that her and her boyfriend play indoor,
Hmm.
and we were talking about the ban thing. She said her boyfriend was banned from a field down in Georgia
Oh
for,
shit.
yeah, like indefinitely, and he doesn't even know why. Like
See,
he
and
didn't
that's
get in a
we
fight. He
like I
didn't
said,
get in a
we.
fight. So how do you? So we were talking about this whole ban thing, and not only that, Airsoft Alphonse. I'm sure you know who that is.
Oh yeah.
Just posted something where there was a, well, it's probably about a month ago, I guess he posted it, but there was a confusion about an event he had already bought a ticket for
Mm,
through a couple different companies that, were, so I don't want to give out name. I don't, he posted it, whatever, but it was, and he explained it. But what happened was, and I'm sure this happens, I've heard of this before, certain fields and owners and event coordinators use the same, they share a ban list.
mm.
So they will ban somebody, and I have two questions about that. They'll ban somebody, and then they'll email these lists to the other event coordinators or other fields and say, and then they go, oh, okay, they're banned over there. Well, they're going to be banned over here now,
Mm.
which I think is bullshit. But uh, I don't, so is there a process for somebody to get banned, and is there a level of, like, because it sounds like there's no in between. It sounds like you're banned, you're banished, that's it forever, or
So
is it a suspension?
no, so
um
I've done
okay,
all three,
okay,
which is interesting. And I don't share my list with any other fields. No, nobody's ever asked for it, but
gotcha.
nobody's asked for it, so I don't send it out. It's not publicized. I don't like publicly. My refs know, my managers know, and my head ref knows. Who's
Yeah.
allowed, who's not. But so I've given out. I've given out two 1 years, one permanent, and like 3 days ago we just did a 30-day. Basically because it was a small infraction, but we literally warned him three different times in like 3 days of playing.
Hmm.
And it's like funny because I don't think people think we keep track. They're like, well, maybe they don't know what I look like. No, no, we know who you are.
Yeah.
So, and it was like we knew that we had already warned this guy twice, and it was like the same exact type of behavior. And we have a safety video. We show it every group of new people every day. There's safety video playing like 5-6 times a day. So it's like the rules are not like, oh, I didn't know that was the rule. Like, no, you
Yeah.
know the rules.
So what
And then
is, yeah, give me like if I went there, and what would I have to do to get banned forever?
so different levels of banning.
Yep.
So one thing that like would be a permanent, and I mean, usually you're not going to get a warning on this, is any kind of like physical, you touch somebody. So like you come up and you lose your shit and you push somebody to the ground. Like we have like a strict no touch, like unless you're doing a melee kill with a melee weapon,
Yeah.
or it's a medic game and you're medicing somebody to life. Um, Other than that, you can't be like, you just can't touch people. Like, and we've had somebody like actually swing on somebody and it was like, yeah, and you're done. You're done.
Okay.
Like that's just, and it's nice because we cut that stuff really, like we get it right in the butt. Like right when it happens, we're on top
Right.
of it.
Now, is
It's
that
not something we allow to happen.
do you have is there a is that mostly because of the insurance thing? Like there's a
No, no,
liability there? Oh,
it's just how we like to have a certain level of, I don't know what's the word, like community, I guess. Not community
sure.
is not the right word, but
Well, I
basically
understand.
we want an atmosphere. We want a certain type of
Right.
atmosphere, and it's funny because I've always thought this in my head. I've never actually like said it out loud,
Yeah.
but I feel like we are training the players um, without them knowing it. And
Yeah.
by training them, I mean we're training them to call their hits. We're training people that airsoft is designed to have a good time. It's not super serious.
Right.
I see people all the time. Hey, high five, good kill, you got me. Oh, did you hit me? I didn't feel okay. Let me take it.
Right.
We're
That's the
we're
majority.
creating this level that is just better. And
Hmm.
it makes people have more fun, and they come back. And once again, the core of that is rooting out the bad people, because most airsofters are not. But
Right.
if you let these, like there was a field I was going to for a long time, um, and these kids were just ruining the field. I talked to the field owner like 3 times, and he wouldn't do anything about it. He basically was like worried that they were going to not come anymore,
Hmm.
and they paid a lot of money or so. I don't know. Anyway, nothing happened. And that like pissed me off beyond belief.
Sure.
So now, like, somebody comes to me, I'm like, yeah, point them out. Let me know. Like, we'll spot chrono somebody. We chrono. Another thing we do, we chrono every single gun every day. Doesn't matter
Right.
if you played
Right.
yesterday
Right.
and you're coming back today with the same electric gun, you get a chrono
Yeah,
today.
you'd have to. Yeah,
You know,
I would imagine.
and 'cause we tried to be nice and like, oh, you chronoed last week. It's
Mm-mm.
electric. It's probably didn't change. So we tried that,
As
and
soon
it
as
just
you
didn't
walk
work.
into that building, you got
People
a
took
chrono.
advantage of
Yeah.
it. Yeah, people took advantage of it.
Yeah,
So we
you
went
have
back.
to. Yeah. Well, I'm asking because so this was the conversation that this girl and I had is I remember growing up, man, like fighting was accepted when with teenagers,
Mm,
teenage boys. That was like a normal part of our life. Even with our friends, we're playing kickball, we're playing wiffle ball, we're playing whatever, and you get pissed off at each other. You love each other, like
mm.
you're good friends, but we still get in a fight because you're teenagers, your hormones are going nuts. Sometimes home life isn't great. So we were talking about this. I said if I made the comment like if I owned a field, as long as I'm not bound by insurance, if two kids got in a fight on the field with their fists, not with a weapon, right?
Right.
Uh, I wouldn't permanently ban them or whatever. I would suspend them, 30 days, whatever, go cool off and that kind of thing. But I would, I feel like there has to, because this is a physical sport. Airsoft
Yeah.
is not you're not sitting here playing cards.
Right.
This is you're getting ramped up, you're running, you're
Yeah, and a
gunning,
lot of
you're
adrenaline.
sliding. Yes, exactly. And with teenagers, man, you get competitive. I would definitely understand if somebody, if that happened, whatever. Now there's different levels of that. Like I said, I've seen these videos where somebody take, turns their gun around, uses the barrel, and they swing
So
it like a bat, kind of
I
shit.
just, you just reminded me. So
Okay.
we did a 3 month ban for some guy. Nice. I'm not name dropping any of these
Right.
names,
Right.
but we did a
Yeah.
3 month ban. A guy came up to somebody, actually knocked his gun out of his hand,
Yeah.
and it broke in half. And
Oh,
it was an
Jesus.
$800 gun.
Oh
And
my
he
God.
and it was not like, oh, maybe he did it, maybe, like, no, his gun's broken in half. It's on the
Yeah.
ground. The dude did not break his own $800 gun.
Right.
Like, it's just not possible. So we gave him a 3 month. So it just depends. We don't have a playbook, like,
Right.
and the guy that we did a 30-day, like, just people accusing him of not calling his hits.
Right.
And we witnessed it a couple times, and we warned him. And it's like, no, that's not a permanent ban situation. But
Right.
like, hey, we're putting you in timeout. When you come back, play better. Like,
Exactly. Yeah.
and with the physical thing, I think airsoft's very interesting because it's the only sport, I think, I could be wrong, but it's one of the only sports that has all ages in the same arena.
Mm-hmm.
You go to a softball game, there's
No.
10-year-old softball kids, all
Yeah.
10 years old, all playing softball. The
Right.
coach does not jump in and start hitting the balls into the back. It doesn't
Yeah.
happen. It's not a thing. Airsoft, you have 45-year-old grown men and you have 12-year-old children
Uh-huh.
in the same place, engaging in the same sport. It just doesn't happen anywhere else. So it's like you have to come up with a different set of rules to be able to cater to both. So, for
Yeah.
example, there's a field in Pennsylvania, I think, and one thing they do, and it's fine, if it works for them, it works for them. I don't
Right.
like it because it doesn't work for me. But they have age, not age groups, but they have levels. So you could be an advanced, you could be a beginner, you can do a full auto night, you can do an
Mhm.
AEG only night.
Yeah.
So we've done from day one, everybody goes together. Doesn't matter your age, doesn't matter your abilities, doesn't matter if you have a Polar Star, doesn't matter if you have an AG. You're going to play in the same arena. You're
Yeah.
going to play the same objective. Now, one thing that we do, I don't think anybody else does. I've never heard of anybody doing it. We actually count HPAs on each side. So, and
Oh, I
only
was gonna
because
ask you how
I
you
don't think
split up
there's
the
a lot of
teams.
I don't think there's a lot of skill, but there is a fire response that is just faster. And it's
Mhm.
like you can say the guy sucks and it's all about the dude and not the tool, but it's just not true. If somebody can
Yeah.
put down 3 times as many rounds as somebody else, that has to be taken into account for.
Yeah.
So we do a count. If there's 10 HPA, we make sure there's 5 on each side.
Gotcha.
That's what it is. If we see 20 rentals, coming on the field. All right, guys, 10 rentals over here, 10
Yep.
rentals
I
over
was
here.
just gonna say, okay, how do you
Yeah.
split them up? That's good.
Moms call me all the time. Oh, my son's so new. He's not gonna like get destroyed. I'm like, no. Everybody plays together. I was like, we make the teams fair.
Yeah.
We even have another rule, and some people might accuse us of like rigging the games, but we don't rig the games. But one of the rules is no color team can win 3 games in a row. And these are just like rules I made up. So if red wins twice, blue has to win the next one. And if that means we need to move one core player over to blue, we do that. And it works really well because when you lose a certain number of games, you just get demoralized. People get mad. People get angry. They end up leaving. If you win one, you lose one. You win one, you lose one. Keeps people around, keeps everybody happy. Like I said, these are all the things that I've just, like I said, there's no playbook. We just made this stuff up. Right. We're just like, hey, seems to work better if we do this,
Yeah, the one common theme I've heard with talking with a lot of different people and that play different styles in different places is that when the refs, when there's good refs is a good thing, obviously, and then knowledgeable refs that aren't just trying to, and their egos getting in the way, they're trying to power trip or whatever, but they follow the rules, and then good gameplay, types, right? Keeping it fresh, keeping
game modes,
new. Yeah, game modes. So but so 2 things. One is I'll remember the second one here in a minute because it just left my mind. But the one, have you heard of Skirmish?
So nothing bad about them. They've been trying to get me to buy their stuff for almost 6 months now. I am just not interested.
What is the So
I think it's an interesting idea. I don't think it is I don't want to say relevant, and they're going to disagree with me. I think it's overcomplicated for airsoft.
Really?
I think it's for example, we run LED armbands and we lose 20 a week. 20 every week. And nobody's stealing them purposely, but people wrap them on their gear, they put it on a table, and they're just gone. And we just have to buy more.
This is, if you get the boxes in there, the system, this one, now they have the cheaper ones you can just hand out, but that's not the draw. Okay. In my opinion, I'm not sponsored by them. All I did was I just recently did a podcast with this guy, with Brandon, a month ago.
Yeah.
And for me, so I'm I don't know very much about airsoft at all. I've never played airsoft. Never once. So,
liar.
I swear to God, my background, I played paintball for like 6 or 7 years after the military. Okay. I played paintball. I knew about paintball. I shot guns, real steel, have a bunch of real steel, whatever, like still shoot, but never played airsoft. I was, so a handful of years, a few years ago, I was paralyzed. I was totally healthy my whole life, paralyzed a few years ago with an illness called Guillain-Barré syndrome. Fine. Didn't feel sick. And then 4 days later in a wheelchair. Coming out of that, I was, bedridden for a while. And so coming out of that, where I could walk down here, I was like you, I was used to working 70 hours a week.
Yeah.
My wife and I have 5 kids. So they're not cheap. Okay. When they're little. So
I believe it.
I was used to working a shit ton overtime. And so then when that happened, once I was able to just do anything, okay, besides lay in bed, I was just going nuts. I came down here. I started 5 YouTube channels. I just did a bunch of shit. One of them was this, and this is what I ended up sticking with because I thought it was really cool, and I met a bunch of people in the community through, before the podcast even. And so anyway, I don't know much about airsoft, but 2 of my questions were, as I started doing these podcasts, one was, why don't we have player tracking, like player stats? Like somebody would go to a milsim, right? My boys they love milsims. They've been to indoor fields. They don't like it as much. They like milsims. Yeah. So like the 3-day milsims, that kind of shit. So they get all geared up. They get all this shit. It's like being in the military for 3 days or whatever.
Yeah.
They like doing that. Okay. And then that's pretty much all I knew at first. And then I saw they're speed soft. Okay, that's cool. I'd see some videos, whatever. And I'm going, why? So these guys would come back from milsim, and I was like, well, how did it go? Well, it was good. This and that, whatever. I'm like, so how did you guys do good? Well, yeah, I mean, I did good personally, but the team we were on, there was 350 people on each team. There were 700 people at the Milsim, and I was like, "Well, how'd your team do?" Well, our team lost. We were on green team or tan team, whatever, and it lost.
Mhm.
Uh, so I'm going, well, do they have like where can I see what where can I see the progress of the game? Like, how did it go? Well, you can't. I'm like, what? So anyway, I'm asking questions as I'm finding out stuff, right? And I'm going, you got all these fucking. I'm looking up here because we have airsoft guns up here. You got all these high tech airsoft guns, all this technology in airsoft, all
Mhm.
this high tech gear. People are starting to spend 20 grand on NVGs to go to an airsoft event,
Right.
and I'm going, nobody has player stats. Nobody knows how their team did, like their individual team at a milsim mixed in with 300 people. Nobody knows at an indoor field how they like. Everyone I've talked to says I want to do. I got into airsoft because I want to play Call of Duty in real life, and I'm like, well, where's your how good are you? Well, man, I just slay, bro. I'm a killer, straight up kill, that kind of thing. Well, how do I know? You don't know shit. Where's your fucking stats? I'm like,
Right.
so anyway, that was one of my questions. I'm like, it's so weird to me. I knew nothing. These are just questions that came up over the last year. I knew nothing about this. I was talking with Honey Badger, call sign Honey Badger, and he mentioned this skirmish system. And I said, what the fuck is that? And so he sent me a link. I looked it up. I invited the guy on. We talked about it. I said, holy shit, this is exactly what I was talking about. People want player stats. Well, anyway, so this band is what the player purchases and they keep on the, they keep it forever. So that serial number that's on the back is linked to you link it when you create your account. So now wherever I go in the whole world, doesn't matter where I go, if a field in UK has the skirmish boxes set up, I bring mine, I tap and go. I'm on the field, I tap for respawn, I tap for objectives. If it's an objective based game, those boxes can be like controlled to do like or set up to do like you have to hold it on there for 15 seconds to capture a point or
Mhm.
just a tap, right?
So
It's
one thing I think they could do better too,
Yeah,
the boxes are just a black box.
right.
They're very generic.
Mm,
I would like a box that looks cooler, has more interaction,
glad you said that
you know.
because we talked about that on the podcast and I said, well, I've got a handful of probably 5 designers and 3D printer guys that are like awesome with 3D printing, okay, and
Mhm.
have some of the newer, I don't even know what the fuck they're called, SLR, some shit printers, okay, that are
Yeah, I
super
don't know anything
expensive.
about 3D printing.
this one guy's trying to explain it to me. He's like, so you know how normal ones they go like this, and the little head goes, and it's like an extruder, and though this one fills up like this. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, bro. But
Right.
anyway, so Brandon and I talked about this, and I said, well, dude, I will send you some guys' names for that could print you some props for some of these boxes that they could fit in. But anyway, I thought for sure that more fields once he started this system. I said, well, so when you go talk to a field, especially indoor, are they open to it? Like, why don't they have it? He's like, I don't know, man. They just don't understand it. Maybe. I'm like, why wouldn't everyone want that? Because you walk in and you go, they have have them on their TVs inside the thing. They'll have the
Mhm.
skirmish thing pulled up at some of the fields that have it, like Motor City has it, High Grounds Evike's system thing has it, and so they'll have it on the TV pulled up where they have that leaderboard. So when those players come in, they know, oh, that guy, I want to beat him today, right? Like I want to build those points up. So that was yeah, I've been asking everyone that I talk
Mhm.
with.
What's everybody
Uh,
saying?
so most of the people I've asked have never heard of it.
Ah, okay.
When I asked Raptor, I asked him, he'd never heard of it. When I asked this guy that just is starting his own milsim company, event coordinator up in PA, that podcast came out just in the past week or
What's
whatever.
his name?
Airsoft Nomad,
Or what's his company's name?
Nomad Milsim.
Okay, haven't heard of it yet.
Yeah,
I was just curious if I
nomadmilsim.com.
knew about it.
It's brand new. He hasn't actually hosted an event yet.
Hmm.
It's not. He has them scheduled. He had to do a bunch of work, kind of like prep work. He had to get a
That's another one.
license, insurance.
It's hard to get those off the ground too.
Right.
You know.
So, because a lot of fields have been scammed, or not scammed, but burned on. Hey, we'll host this event here. Well,
Yeah, and it doesn't happen, or they bring
they
20
don't
people.
pay. Right, exactly. And that field could make, 10 grand that day, but they shut down. It's like a private party almost. Okay, you're going to have your Milsim event here. Go ahead. And a lot of them weren't, so that if they don't get enough people, they don't get paid and whatever. So he had a hard time getting started, but his first one's in April. But anyway, I talked with him about it. He had never heard of it. So, sent him the info. But yeah, to me, it's if I'm sitting here as a spectator and somebody goes to a milsim, I have no fucking clue how that milsim's going. A 3-day milsim, like a milsim West, like 40 hours straight, right? I
Mhm.
have no up-to-date info on how it's going. There's no one at those at those events that are updating in real time or, hourly or whatever. This thing updates in real time. So if somebody captures an objective, right now,
Problem
and
is, you need power though. Ninety
you need,
percent of these milsim companies don't have power. You know what I
these
mean?
his boxes are wired for lipo batteries or
Or a lot
9.6.
of them, I think you need Wi-Fi too. You know?
This is a local system.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so this dude, listen, bro, this guy was in the Navy. Okay, Brandon.
But
I
if you
know
get a local
I know
system, no.
I
If you get a local system, how is it going to transmit live information? It's not
yeah, I don't
possible.
listen,
It
I don't
has to
know.
be. It has to be Wi-Fi.
It's a mesh system. This guy was in the Navy. Okay, all I'm saying is, I know I sound like I'm a salesperson for this thing,
No, it's all right.
but I'm really not. The Navy sent him to MIT to work on a project for the
Mhm.
government, uh, and part of what he worked on was a mesh system, which is why it's called skirmesh, not skirmish, that communicates with each other for drones, drone usage. Okay, small drones. Well, anyway, to give feedback and data, whatever, to collect. But anyway, that's probably going to lead to the Terminator 2 effect for us, robots and shit. Who knows? But anyway, so he had to come up with a system that was like that, would talk to each other and update information real time. So this fixes the problem with, I don't know how the technology works, but him and his buddy built the circuit boards and built the boxes themselves. So they can be plugged in with a regular power cord, or some of these, like Motor City, I think they have them plugged in. But if you want to use them in a milsim, like out in the field, you can put a 9.6 battery in it or a lipo battery, whatever, it'll last, all
Somebody
day.
has to supply the armbands too, though. How are you going to get 700 players to buy armbands? What if 500 of them don't want to buy it?
Well,
Then
then you don't
your
have to
game's not going to work.
oh, sure it does. Because only this
But I'm saying
doesn't have to,
500 guys can't interact with that box because they don't have a wristband.
right. Well, that's up to them.
But I'm just saying
The
it
game
has
can
it
still
has the
run.
option of failing on that
I
basis.
got you.
Because that's what, for example, you gotta check out my Instagram. My dad built these control boxes,
Yeah.
and they're the coolest things ever. It's a button control box. We're not selling them too. I already had
Well, that's
another
how
field.
these milsims are. Yeah, there's a
I
little
had
button
another
and you
field try
switch
to
it.
buy it from me, and I told him
Okay.
no because they're proprietary. My dad built them. He's a computer like engineer. But they have buttons on them, and you just hit the button and it starts the timer. It has a loud
Right.
beep, but they're Pelican boxes. They look really nice. They have
Yeah.
like a red and blue button. They're also connected to an LED that's like 12 feet long, and that strip goes in the room. So when you hit the button, the whole room turns red,
Right.
or the whole room turns blue.
Right.
And then it has like a
Side.
flashing effect for like the last 30 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just nice right there 2 times. It's not overly complicated, but surprisingly, it's something that like nobody really makes.
Yeah.
There's, and I have 2 of them at my other field. What's the company overseas? The boxes, the little control boxes they make. Aries Alpha boxes.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So, and there's nothing wrong with them. They're good boxes. They're just really expensive. They're like $550 a piece for the cheapest
Gotcha.
ones.
Okay.
And they take about 2 months to build. About 6 weeks. But
Gotcha.
my dad builds these boxes for $200. So,
Right.
um,
Yeah, there's a lot of options.
but they
out
work. Airsoft is such an interesting thing. It's
Yeah.
it's an honor based sport, and it's hard to bring too much competitiveness into it because all that does is encourage cheating. If it was a sport that you couldn't cheat at, I think we could make it as competitive as we wanted. If
Yeah.
it was like laser tag and every shot was exact and it had to register or you didn't hit that person, it'd
Right.
be totally different. But like I tried to run like tournaments for money. Like I even put up guns, and people just didn't want to do it. You know, it's just I don't. It's not like people are afraid of competition,
Yeah.
but in the same token, like I'm kind of glad it didn't work because I don't think it's a good idea, and like all these people have tried. I just don't know if airsoft is there yet, or
Yeah.
if it's ever going to be there. That's why it's like Milsims is like, oh, who won? I don't know. We have fun, you know, like whatever, you know.
It's
And
so
it's
weird
like
to me. I mean, did you play sports in high school?
soccer. I played soccer my whole life.
Did you care if your team won or lost?
I did care. Yeah, we lost a lot. I'm
Mhm.
not gonna lie, our team was terrible.
Yeah, my football team was horrible, but
We were
in
awful.
high school, but we still want to win. Like that,
Yeah. So
I never heard of that until I started talking with people in airsoft, and they're going, "Yeah, we don't really, claim
for
a winner."
example,
I'm like, "What?
like all
Why?"
of these objectives have points, and you know the whoever's running the event has the ability to do whatever they want. They can say this objective is worth 500 points.
Right.
Getting to this scientist is worth 1,000 points. I'm not saying that's good or bad. That's just what it is. The one thing I do hate, and I get it, but they don't regulate it well, is war crimes. And I think it's just the stupidest thing. It's like, oh, you lost 6,000 points today because one of your guys was wearing the wrong top, or he shot a guy that was a role player. It's like, dude, come on. Like,
What?
so
Damn.
yeah, and that's like, I don't know. When's the last Milsim you've been to? I don't know. Like Third
The one
Coast does it.
October. Yeah.
A lot of places do it, and it's called
Okay.
war crimes. And basically, it gives the admin, and I think I get the idea. It was to lower
I
bad
gotcha.
behavior players,
Mm,
bad behavior from the players,
okay.
but and essentially it kind of degrades you as a player because you're like, wow, I just did all this work to complete this objective, and
Yeah.
this one dude that wanted to act like a douche just ruined 500 points for me. You know, and it's like I really think that should go away. It probably won't, but I think it's kind
Yeah.
of stupid.
That
I
should
get
go
the
away
idea, but you
because
should
you're
just get rid of
not.
the player. Get rid of
That's
the
not
player.
on
If
your
somebody's
team.
acting like a douche, get
Like,
him out
oh
of there.
yeah, there's 300 people on tan, but that's not your team. Like, you don't know that guy. He's
Right.
not. He's not. You shouldn't be punished for his behavior. No, the one thing I did see early on when we started channeling, these guys would come back from Milsim, and they were recording, on GoPros and stuff, and they're like, I said, "What happened there?" This guy would walk. This admin walked by and threw down a whatever fake grenade or
Killed
something.
everybody. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
and
so
like
stupid.
everyone in that area is wiped out. I said, "What the fuck was that?" He's like, "Oh, that's like an airstrike." I said, "Who called it in?" Like the admins. I said, "The
Yeah, they just
admins." Well, it was because they wanted to balance the game because this other team was, getting whatever. I'm like, bro, that would be demoralizing. Like, okay, hey, you've been holding this point for X amount of time, and you can't, these guys, they're almost like spawn trapped. Well, move the
mm,
fucking, give them another objective that makes it, more fun to
yeah,
leave
move
that
it.
point and go, hey, send out your admins to go, hey, now there's a high value target over here, go capture. Now you got to
It's
send
funny.
that. I don't know.
I've had people tell me I should start a Milsim company, and I'm like, I could, but I won't because I don't want the headache. I absolutely financially, I could start a Milsim company, but I
Yeah,
won't do it.
yeah,
I just don't want that, and I like playing too much. It's the same reason I'll never go past three. Like I got 3 fields. I'm never going to do more than that. Just
yeah.
and I could, and there's plenty of market and opportunity. Like Kentucky doesn't have a single indoor field in the whole state. I think Virginia doesn't have any. West Virginia has zero. So it's like there's plenty of
Yeah.
opportunity, but I just don't have. I I still want to play. I'm like
Right.
one of the few field owners I know that's actively play. Like I go to like at least 5 to 7 milsims a year. You know,
Oh
with
shit.
my team. I love
Where do you guys?
milsims.
Yeah. Where do you guys go? Or
Um,
who do you play with?
we play a lot with Mere Tactical.
Oh
I
yeah.
like their AOs. We're doing the big house milsim at least once a year. I sponsor it. My field does. We give out a bunch of raffle prizes. That's the prison in Pennsylvania.
Oh
Really
nice.
cool AO.
I've
They're
heard of
going
that.
on like 2 years.
Uh
It's
huh.
called Big House Mills. That's what's his name? That's Joker's company.
Hmm.
He runs those
Maybe
events.
that's where I've heard of it. Yeah. Okay.
Um, and I like Lion Claws. They're always west. You
Yeah.
know, if and their last one, which was funny, it got canceled, and I was like I had interest, and then I watched videos of the AO, and I'm like that looks awful.
Hmm.
Um, it was Firestorm 2, but it looked like just like giant warehouses with nothing in the middle. I'm sorry, nothing in the middle. So you just had to
Yeah.
travel across all this open space. There was no cover, and then there was like some trees outside. And I'm always like, if I drive 10 hours to play, I don't want to play in trees.
Was
I
that
can
the
play
one
in
in South Carolina? I
Yeah,
think
but it got canceled last second because the city wouldn't let them go through. It was called Firestorm 2.
no, that.
Is it or Firestorm 3 or something? But anyway, it was
Oh,
in
okay, maybe
South.
the
It was in
newest one.
South
Yeah,
Carolina. It was near you.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. Because
but
I
it got
had some guys
canceled
on
because
that
of the
went to it.
city.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was like, it looked like a terrible event, but it's funny they had to give all that money back. But I've been to one Lion Claws event, and I actually really enjoyed it. I like how they ran it. I didn't have any problems. Third Coast, I'm back and forth on. I've been to one, and it was like the worst event I ever went to.
Oh
And then
shit.
I went to another one. It just more than anything, it's like the worst tryhards you've ever met in your life. Like, except everybody's exactly that way, and it's just like it's not like competition and I'm afraid of it or something. I think they take it too seriously, and
Gotcha.
it turns into aggression, and it like ruins the gameplay.
Huh.
And there's just like a certain I don't know, that was. But I went to another one, and I actually went with Joker, and he even said, he's like, this is like the worst cheating I've ever seen. It's like because everybody wants to win, they like have to
Oh
like
yeah.
the tryhards, you know. But I still had fun at that one, and I would go back to that AO. It was
Yeah.
a prison in, I think it was South Carolina, North Carolina.
Oh okay.
North Carolina. It was a prison, and I'm missing this one because they sold out. I was actually going to go. It's in February, and that's Third Coast. I don't know the name of the event.
Bone Crusher.
Bone Crusher. Yeah, and I wanted to go, and they sold out. And I was like, man, see, even if you own fields, you're still not special. Like you gotta buy a ticket just like everybody else.
I know, right?
But I would go back to that one. That AO was super cool. It was just a really super overgrown prison, and it had like some tunnels underneath. They all connected. And then I wanted to go to the mall, and that one sold out too. The Lion Claws
Shit.
is doing the mall event.
Okay.
So hopefully they do that one again. But it's also really bad time for me. I opened a field. I'm opening another field.
Right.
I literally just finished like the one field, and now I've been at the other one every single day, like building and just working. And so I eventually want to get back into Milsim. Like it's been a very chaotic 6 months for me trying to get these up and running. And like I said, nobody even knew about the other one till today when I announced it on here. So that one's like I've been working on it by myself essentially. So
now, how did you get into airsoft to begin with? Were you were young, obviously, because you?
Oh yeah, I think 15 years old. I started with spring pistols in my backyard, and every year we would upgrade. It was so funny because it was 2012. If that's when we started playing, 2012. That's that far back. And I remember it was I don't know. Yeah, I want to say we were behind the times. So we had spring pistols, and then we upgraded to like spring shotguns, and we were like, these are the best things ever.
Oh shit.
And then we got like AEGs, and we're like, oh my god, electric guns. And then we like figured out you could like upgrade electric guns, so we would buy like the better ones. And then it's so funny though, I didn't switch to HPA till probably 4 years ago.
Okay.
And it was just like the hardest push ever because I was like, I'll never do it. I don't want a tank on my back. The hoses are stupid.
Right.
And now I've like played with them, and I was like, I'll never go back.
Really?
I love.
Have you seen the ones that are like the dual sector gears and shit? Like
oh yeah,
super
no, you
high
can,
end AG.
So you can get them really, really fast, and you can do all this work. But the problem is, if you specifically don't know how to work on it, it becomes difficult. Because for Ohio, there's like 3 techs in the entire state, like that are actually competent that could do a DSG build. Like I can't do it. I've been playing 17 years. I won't take an electric gun apart. Maybe if I could, I would be more prone to building my own guns. But it's like, to me, there's just way too many parts that can go wrong at that high speed of a build. Basically, you can build a gun that fast, but at what cost? How long is that going to last? Where an HPA gun breaks, I'm like, I can fix it. I know how to, and they're super low maintenance. And it's like, it's everybody's preference. Like whatever your preference is, I think that's what you should play with. If your preference
but
is
that's the common thing I've heard is with people when we ask this question sometimes is what HPA or AEG, right?
I don't think either one is better.
Yeah.
I think that's just my opinion of what I play with.
Well, the reason somebody would say, that we've talked with, or that I've talked with, anyone that says HPA, that's one of their things is if something happens, 10 minutes, it's back up and running. Like,
I just wish there was more techs. If there was more tech, and it's just such a niche thing. It's not like there's a auto parts, or there's a place to get your car fixed. 5 of them in one city.
Oh God, forever. Yeah. And car washes.
Yeah, there's a car wash every 5 seconds. But if you want somebody to fix your airsoft gun, good luck.
Good luck, bro.
You're gonna ship it out of state. You're gonna wait 6 weeks. Like there's just nobody does it.
Somebody was telling this is gotta be 8 months
ago. It's unfortunate, but it's what it is.
Yeah, this is a young guy that I was talking with in California, and he's like he said he made this comment on the podcast like, yeah, I think airsoft's going to be televised. It's getting popular. It's going to be. I'm like, no, no, it's not. And
They
he's like,
tried.
oh
It
yeah, it's
failed
getting
like
popular.
twice.
Yeah, and
Failed twice. Two different companies tried to televise it. Didn't work.
I know I've heard of this, right? And
Yeah, I've seen
uh,
the footage.
it's so crazy, man. The who did I talk to? I talked to somebody in the last couple of weeks that told me about one of them I hadn't heard of, and they were like, "Oh, you never heard of? You got to look up this." Or he showed a video of it, and it was the one I can't remember what it's called, but where they had some announcer, like guy telling what was this and that, and but anyway, yeah, I said, no, man, it's not going to be televised. There's nothing attractive about watching it. They don't,
Mm,
you can't see what they're shooting. You can't, it's dark. These arenas are dark. They're not outdoors. Like paintball has color. If a game is going to be boring, it's got to have color. Look at golf. People
mm.
love putting on golf in the background because the colors are so vibrant.
Yeah, it's a good
Nobody
point.
really watches golf unless you're really into golf. But I hate watching golf, but I'll put it on in the background when people come over for a party. If we have, one TV is going to have this, one TV is going to have that, I'll put golf on.
Yeah,
It looks beautiful. Football looks beautiful because of the field, American football, not
right.
fucking whatever they call the big tournament that was just going on. Okay, the
So
World
what
Cup.
was your second thing? Do you remember? You said
Uh,
there's two questions I ask everybody.
so one was about the skirmish thing. I was going to ask you about
Maybe it was
that.
the AEG versus HVA. Was that the
No,
second
it
question?
wasn't that. It
No.
was something. Um, it was something about like similar to that, like that kind of like. Have you heard of doing this? Yeah, I don't know. And it was
Escape
something
you.
that just, yeah, it wasn't something I ask everybody. This is something that just came up in a recent conversation with someone. Um, but as a field owner, I was going to ask you, and I can't remember what it was, but it wasn't that important, to be honest.
All
Most of
right.
the important
Fair
shit
enough.
I remember to ask, unless in my earlier podcasts, I used to drink like before and then during, right? I
Mm.
would you do shots and drink
Oh
beers and
wow.
stuff. Oh yeah. So,
You forget what you were saying?
bro, like 40 minutes into a podcast, I'm fucking wasted, okay? And we were talking to and I'm just like rambling on. I don't remember shit. And a lot of it when I first started was I was kind of nervous about talking with people
Mm.
because especially when they would find out I don't know anything about airsoft. And I've had people turn me down to be on here because they find out I'm not played airsoft.
Hey, this is the first. You're the first person that came to me, and I was like, "Hey, I'm not
uh,
special, but I'm like, I'll do a podcast."
oh, dude, it's fun. I love doing this. I have a good time. I love meeting new people. I would, I'm like this in real life. Outside of this, if I
Mm.
go to a restaurant or bar or something or hang out somewhere, I'll leave with 3 or 4 new friends. Like I don't mind talking with people, whatever.
So
But anyway, and I
you
really
have
do. I am interested in finding out about like this like how do people get into it? What do they think about this kind of play, that kind of gun? Like I'm not partial to any of it because I haven't
right.
played.
Mm.
So AEG, HPA. Now I took some of these guns apart, and my first gearbox I took apart. I didn't look up a video. I'm like, man, I worked maintenance in factories for 20 years. I know what the fuck I'm doing. I work on
And
my
it's still
cars. You know what I'm
it's
saying?
difficult, isn't it?
I popped that fucker off, and all these springs went pew,
Yeah, it's
bounced
no
off the
joke.
walls in here.
So, did you have any other specific questions, like as being a field owner? I'm just curious. Anything you were
Uh,
thinking about you wanted me to touch on?
not really.
No, that was it.
No, I
Okay.
mean we went over the band thing. I think that was one of the big things too because I just had this conversation with somebody. Like, how does that come up? How do you guys enforce it? Where do you start drawing the line? That can be kind of tedious sometimes. I think with
It's it's funny. I haven't decided. Well, it's going to be interesting. So moving forward,
yeah,
hey, you're banned from 3 fields. Like
yeah,
because I'm not. If I
right,
ban you from one field, you can't just drive 2 hours and go play at another one that I own. I don't. That's not
yeah,
going to be cool. So,
right.
but yeah, I haven't even started looking for staff for the third one. Like I haven't even announced it yet. So this is
Gotcha,
all very very new.
gotcha.
But I don't anticipate having any trouble finding people because we pay a fair wage. And
Right.
it's a fun job. There's not a lot of. My manager, he's my new manager. he came to me. He's only been there for a month, and he's like, "Hey, I just want to really thank you for the opportunity." And I was like, "Oh, you're welcome." And he's like, "This is like the first job I had that like I wake up every day and I want to come to work." And I'm
No
like, "Dude,
shit, right?
that's what I want. Like,
That's
if
cool.
you like your job, then I'm happy because I know you're gonna do a good job. You
Exactly.
know."
I think you're gonna have a lot of people like that in that field. That's they want to be there. I ran a GameStop video game store. Um,
Hmm.
I I ran one for 3 years. Never ever had a problem finding people. Like
I
never.
bet
And we had to
everybody
turn
wants to
people
work there.
away. Yeah, for sure. It's a fun environment. We had a good time. Yeah, I had the same issue. Like people don't call out. Typically like, well, fast food or food service,
Oh yeah,
bro,
it's
you're
very
always short.
difficult.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for real.
nobody wants to work.
Nah, dude. Hell no. Yeah. Well, listen,
Interesting
man.
day and age.
It's been great talking with you. Thank you so much for being on.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, dude. It's been great. And listen, everybody, go check out his MK Airsoft. And what was the other one? The red one?
So yeah, it's the Instagrams are MK Airsoft Medina, MK Airsoft Middletown, and then the Facebook ones is just MK Airsoft because it was before we had two locations. So the one is just called MK Airsoft on Facebook. That's our original Medina, and then the second one is MK Airsoft Middletown. So just how it sounds, the word middle town, but all together, Middletown.
Right. And
So
now for people that, if anyone does listen to this or pass it on to somebody up in the Sandusky area, when do you hope to have
so that
that
one's
new
just gonna
field
be
open?
called yeah, that one's just gonna be called MK Willard, because that's the city. It's in Willard. April or May. So it's super complicated. Like our other one, we opened in 8 weeks. This one's not going to be 8 weeks. It's just so big and there's so much work. So we're taking our time too. I actually my goal is to have it more like a training facility than
Hmm.
an airsoft field, which sounds crazy when I say it out loud, but I want it to be that type. More feel like a training facility than it feels like an airsoft field. So
Right.
really, we're gonna do the extra mile when we build everything. It's just gonna be super nice.
Gotcha.
So.
And then where can somebody, if they're in that area and they want to find out updates on?
So you can always go to our website,
Okay.
mkairsoft.com. That's where we sell products. You can buy guns, gear. We have a full selection of everything. And then that's where you get your tickets. So every Monday morning, our tickets reset for the next week. So every
Gotcha.
Monday, that weekend tickets are available. And that's just how we've been doing it. It works good for us. So
Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you being on.
yeah, have a good day.